O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You love podcasts, the stories, the laughs, the unexpected turns. But when this episode ends, the silence starts. Not anymore. Audiobooks.com turns that silence into your next great adventure. With over 450,000 titles, from bestsellers to hidden gems, your love for listening just found its new best friend. And because you already know the joy of audio, we're giving you 3 free audiobooks to start your journey. Imagine your favorite podcast, now with unlimited episodes. That's audiobooks.com. Keep the story going. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. Because for podcast lovers like you, the end of an episode is just the beginning. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.
So before we get into today's episode, I got to give a big shout out to Gilbert the Barber for barber. I'm trying not to say it with my accent. Barber, like person that cuts hair, not like Alibaba. But yeah, Gilbert the Barber, who generously donated to the podcast. He actually came in the shop and just dropped cash because he didn't know how to do it online. But, anyway, like if you feel like you want to contribute, we accept it, man, because it helps us keep this show going and growing, and it's deeply appreciated from the bottom of my heart. So if you are interested in potentially financially helping support the podcast, you can check out patreon.com/bigtruth. Again, patreon.com/bigtruth. And there's 4 different levels that you can sign up for. They each come with their own privileges and special things. But yeah, check it out, patreon.com/bigtruth. If you go to the Big Truth Podcast website, there's information for how you could donate through like Venmo and things like that if you didn't want to sign up on Patreon. And also all the episodes are up there, so check it out. If you don't have a place that you already go to get your podcasts, like Spotify or Apple or Android or any of that shit. But yeah, and while we're at it, I want to thank all the other Patreon supporters, and you guys fucking rule. And all you listeners fucking rule, and just make sure you give us a like or a review, depending on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Sometimes you can just leave stars. Sometimes you can write a review. But yeah, do it. Give it a like. So make sure you subscribe. Give it a review if you can. That helps it get up there in the algorithms and get out to more people. So please do that. And if you are in the market for motorcycle parts or gear, you need to check out oldbikebarn.com. On Instagram, they are at Old Bike Barn, whether it's for your chopper, your stock bike, your cafe racer, whatever it is, check them out. And they have it broken up by type and whatnot, but they have all that rare shit that you need to find, the hard to find shit for your old Japanese bike too. Like a lot of places don't carry Japanese shit. They got the weird shit that no one else got, so check them out. They also have their own line of knives that they make and leather goods and whatnot, so check them out, oldbikebarn.com. On Instagram at oldbikebarn. Now, you know what I mean? If you haven't, we're getting out of a time where it was about 1.5 years where people weren't caring about getting haircuts or grooming, or probably weren't showering much, probably going through bouts of depression and, all kinds of bullshit because of this COVID lockdown shit. If you haven't groomed downstairs, down below, if your shit looks like a fucking snake hatchling just fucking crawled its way out of the fucking egg and is fucking slithering its way through a fucking rat nest, and is still slithering by 2 eggs that haven't hatched yet in a dirty ass rat's nest, you need to take care of that shit. So you need to go to manscaped.com and get the Lawnmower 3.0 razor. It's basically a ball razor, right? And what it does is it allows you to shave down there and groom down there. They got these special ceramic coated blades so that you don't cut, nick, or scratch yourself. And along with that Lawnmower 3.0, they got a whole other host of products that are like anti-chafing creams, all kinds of shit you're going to need in the summer once it gets hot and humid and fucking sweaty. You know what I mean? Some moisture gets in that grundle area, dude. All done. All done. No one wants to be around that. No one wants to see that. No one wants to smell that. No one wants to be around it. So check out manscaped.com and make sure you use the promo code BigTruth at checkout. You will get 20% off your order and free shipping. So you can't lose there. While we're talking about 20% off, you need to check out Omerta, clothing and lifestyle brand. And they're at omertamia.com or online. Yeah, that's how you get to the fucking website, you know what I mean, and order shit. But if you're on Instagram, you can check them out at omertamia.com. And I think they even got an app still that you can download off the Apple iTunes store, the App Store, it's Omerta there, so check it out. But whether you need a hat, a hoodie, socks, T-shirts, whatever, they got it. And they got rad shit, rad designs. And you couldn't support a better company because it's two of my good friends, and they're in it to win it, and are dudes that are paid dues and just fucking rule, and good dudes all around. So check them out, omertamia.com, or on Instagram at omertamia, OMERTAMIA. Yeah. If you happen to be in the unfortunate situation where you get into a motorcycle accident, you need to check out lawtigers.com. Go to lawtigers.com. They are a motorcycle firm that was founded by riders for riders, and you can go on Facebook and type in Law Tigers plus your state. So, for example, if you live in Nebraska, you type in Law Tigers Nebraska on Facebook, and you will get in touch with the local office or the closest office to you in that state. And that way you don't have to call the 1-800 number and have them transfer you around. So go to lawtigers.com or Facebook and type in Law Tigers plus your state to get in touch with your local office. Hopefully you never have to use that one, but it's a good resource to have if you do find yourself in that predicament. If you have issues with sleep or anxiety, or you got some inflammatory issues, you tore some shit at the gym, fucking whatever it is, you need to check out Cradle Lake Clear. They make like some of the best CBD oil out there. Pure shit, all made with good stuff, no garbage in there. And some shit you find on the counter at a bodega that was made who the fuck knows where is all American made shit. All legit, super high quality. I use it at night, and whenever I do, I sleep like a baby. Whenever I don't, I wake up multiple times because I got all kinds of fucking dings and whatnot, and fucking banged up shoulder, my back's jacked up, all kinds of shit's happening. So I do that and sleep way better. So check them out, crystallakeclear.com. And if you use the promo code BigTruth there, you get 20% off your order there. Yeah. You know what? It's good. All right. And if you're also still looking for more clothing, check out pitchforkny.com. They have all kinds of fucking rad designs. There's nothing else to say. It's it's like one of those commercials. It's weird. It's like, if you don't know Pitchfork, I don't know where you've been. So it's like hard to even describe, because like you should just know that shit. Like pretty much every band you listen to is rocking their shit. So go to pitchforkny.com. They also have a record label where they do limited releases on different colorways, like collectible vinyls and whatnot. They got a new hardcore compilation, a New York hardcore compilation coming out. So check them out, pitchforkny.com. Chop Cult. If you're in a motorcycling, choppering, you know what I mean, building bikes, customizing bikes, fucking riding bikes, doing shit, check out chopcult.com, the biggest online information resource for motorcycle builders and riders and whatnot. They got a huge message board that's broken up by topic, so you can easily find what you're looking for. And they also got an online swap meet where you can buy, sell, and trade pots. They got a mailing list you can sign up so you can have information pushed over to you. They got whatever you fucking need, pretty much. Motorcycle related, just check it out. They got an online store. They got where they sell their own shit, but they sell some chop head shit. They sell shit from different shops and stuff that they support and that support them. And they got an online events page. That one's important. Shit's opening up. You know what I mean? And shit's going to start happening again. So check out their events page to find out motorcycle-related events that are happening near you, right? And And if you need to check out chopperhead.com, my shop. We are a full-service brick-and-mortar motorcycle shop. So you come in, you need an oil change, you need a custom chopper built, anything in between, we do it. And, we have an online place, chopperhead.com, where you can order shit if you're not local. And if you are local, come on, man. I get people from this town or one town over that are ordering shit online. Just come by. Why wouldn't you want to come by the shop? Why are you going to spend $7 on shipping when you could spend like 48 cents in gas and come over here? I know everyone sometimes works and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, go to chopperhead.com. We got apparel. We got parts. Whatever you need. And if there's parts that you need, we're pretty much set up with everyone. So if we don't make it and we don't carry it on the website, that doesn't mean we can't get it or we don't make it. You know what I mean? That was a little convoluted. But what I was trying to say is, and it's probably much to my not benefit. What's the opposite? A deficit to me is that we don't put enough into the website. So it's just hard, man, because there's so many products and parts and fucking shit out there. But we pretty much carry everybody. So if you need something and you don't see it on the site, just give us a call or shoot us an email, and we can get it for you. And we're at 13 County Road, East Freetown, Massachusetts. Chopperhead.com, CHOPPAHEAD. Now, if you're into weird shit and like, whether it's like weird arcane shit or fucking psychedelia or the occult or fucking serial killers or just antisocial shit, street weaponry, fucking choppers, 70s fucking boogie vans, whatever it is, if you're into any of that shit, you will definitely fucking dig Heavy, and you need to check them out at heavy.bigcartel.com or on Instagram at Heavy Clothing. It's my man Zach Doom's company, and it's rad as fuck, so make sure you go check them out there. And that's it. That's fucking it. New episode coming up right now, so keep it locked.
Sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Yeah, once again, we got liftoff. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the Big Truth Podcast. And I'm stoked to be on the line with my man Mike from 47 Industries. I don't know if you motherfuckers don't know Mike, then you obviously don't have like a panhead or a shovel head frame or some shit you need, because this motherfucker is the main motherfucker on the East Coast that's repairing that shit and hardtailing those, your shovel head frames and repairing your panhead and knucklehead frames and all that, and doing all kinds of rad machine work and fucking just being an all-around good dude, man. I don't, dude, how fucking long have we even known each other now? It's got to be well over a decade, right?
I would think so, somewhere around there. Yeah. Fuck
yeah, just from shows and fucking hanging around and being fucking retards, right? That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think there's any professional motorcycling industry standard that we set out to be in, right?
yeah. We're always on the outside. We're at the shows, but we're having fun. But it kind of over in the corner, away from the industry stuff.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying before. The least serious of anybody who's trying to seriously make a living.
Yeah. You know what it is, and it's probably I guarantee this is the same for you. When we're and especially those DVDs ruined it for us, because everyone just thinks it's a rolling party all the time. But literally, when we're here, we're fucking working and just fucking working and working and working. So when we go to events, I know it's still kind of work, but that's our vacation. So we're just fucking letting loose, because there's a lot of steam to blow off, and it's I'm there to have a good time, man. I work when I'm back at the shop. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I think that's how a lot of us. At least the smaller guys, I think that's how a lot of them are. You work your butt off. You make your living. For whatever that means to you. Some people obviously work harder than others.
Yeah.
But when we go to a trade show or whatever, it's like, hey, it's Miller time, so to speak. You know, it's like you're there with your friends, and I mean, you're kind of there to work, and you're supposed to be like, you know, talking to potential customers and whatever. But I mean, to me, yeah, that's kind of that's my vacation, you know, and some people don't get it. It's like you vacation for motorcycles by going to do more motorcycles. It's like, yeah, why not?
It's like, but it's a vacation you can justify because you're like, yeah, it's work. But
that's right. Oh, I have to go to this.
Yeah, mentally at least, you know, that's how we can justify it, right? But yeah, man. So what are you up to nowadays at the shop? Like, I know, like, years ago, like, you kind of downsized a little, which I think is a fucking super smart idea, like, to keep overhead low and fucking be more focused and do shit. Like, I know you do a lot of frame repair, and I know you hardtail a lot of frames. I know you do a lot of machine work and machining things. But, like, what have you been up to lately, man?
Well, I definitely downsized. You know, the upsize was the mistake of my lifetime, so to speak. You know,
dude, I hear you.
You know, I know a lot of guys who have big, you know, have shops, have that nut to pay for. It's a lot, and you know, I never really. When I started out in business, I didn't know. I still don't know how to run a business. I mean, forget it. I'm the biggest idiot there is. But you know, too big was too big for me anyway.
Yeah.
So you know, I've been there. I worked, you know, 14 hours for, you know, weeks on end, and, you know, and kind of just barely had enough to pay all the bills, and I kind of got tired of it. So
yeah,
I said, you know, I got to downsize, looking at shop sizes and expenses, and from where I was to, you know, where I wanted to be, I still couldn't afford the local real estate. Here is super expensive. You know, so, I mean, I looked at it and I said, well, I got this garage, and 90% of my work was already mail order, people shipping frames in from all over the place. So I said, well, the hell with it. I'll just do it at home and, you know, run here. And it's been working out for me.
Yeah. It's such a smart model if you can pull it, if you can do it like that, man, because, you know, and I think, you know, because it's just, and a lot of it is, it's something you hit on is I think kind of important, man, is that we all got into this because, like, we love doing it. Like, we didn't set out, it just ended up becoming a business. And it's like, oh shit, like, none of us went to business school and really learned how to fucking really run a fucking business. You know what I mean? Like, that shit we had to learn organically, and it comes with its own trials and tribulations. And you know, I'm still learning shit about business every day, you know? And it's like, how many years in this now? You know what I mean? And I think that's an important thing, man. Like, that people who are thinking about trying to go into the motorcycle industry in some way, shape, or form full time and run their own business need to really consider that. Like, you might not be bad to take some business courses before you jump in, man, because it's like,
yeah, it's a real good idea.
Yeah, you know, like, go to your community college or some shit. I guarantee they got something like that, you know, because
yeah, for sure, yeah, something basic accounting.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, for all the years that I was, you know, just a personal, you know, just my personal life. You know, I had a job. You know, I got a paycheck. I put it in the bank. I could balance my checkbook to within a penny every month. You know, no problem.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden I got all this other, you know, I got another bank account for the shop, and I'm going crazy paying all these bills. I can't keep track of money for shit. You know,
yeah.
It's like it really adds another element to it. Plus, there's also that, you know, there's that, you know, sitting in the office, sitting at the desk, writing checks, paying bills, trying to make sure everything's paid for, ordering parts.
Yeah.
What money can I take for myself? You know, how do I pay myself? There's a lot of shit that, like I said, I still don't know half of it. You know, I get a little help in there. You have to, you know, and, you know, a little advice or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, if you're starting off, know what you're getting into. You know, talk to some people, you know, and, you know, basically that's it. I mean, getting back to that thing about size, I mean, I love the fact that I had a real business, a real shop with a sign out front where I was legitimate and all that. And it was really great. But I realized that to get to that by yourself is almost, you know, it's almost impossible to pull those hours, make it work, the work done, and pay the bills. You know, you really, you know, if you're going to run a bike shop, hey, that's fine. You know, you're going to hire other people, and that works good. And if you understand business, then you'll be fine. If you think it's just like, man, I'm just going to take in all these jobs and, you know, get all this work done, it's like, you know, hope you're a young man with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
As I get older, and I realize that I don't have the energy that I used to have,
Nope.
So yeah, it'll run you down quick, and then it'll, in the world to chew you up and spit you out, So you gotta, I don't know, advice is, again, like you said, learn a little bit, figure it out before you get into it, and realize how much time you're going to spend doing it.
Yeah.
How much time you away from your family, your wife, even your girlfriend, who thinks it's all such a great idea right now, but by the time you're there for 14 hours a day, you'll find out the truth.
Oh yeah, that wears thin, right?
It don't. Well, for some people, it takes a lot less time than others. I found that out. So
yeah, well, but it's like you said, right? Like if you're gonna have a full shop, if you have a shop in your garage or like a small fabrication shop or that's not like a storefront type of thing, yeah, you could do that yourself, you know what I mean? But like you said, you got a brick and mortar shop with a sign out front, and you have to have hours. You need people.
Yeah, you have to take the work. You have to take the work that comes in.
Yes.
I have if one, I'm kind of specialized, right? And then two, I have the luxury of saying, hey, I can't help you. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
It's calls me and says, hey, my bike won't start. I don't do motorcycle repair. You know, it's not something I do.
Yeah, is your frame cracked? I'll take care of that.
Yeah, right. If your frame's messed up and you call me up and say, hey, my frame's messed up, I got to bring it in. Well, bring it in. We'll get you figured out,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of leads us into what you asked me before. What am I doing these days? In the old shop, I still kind of was mostly motorcycles, but there was race car stuff too, roll cages, a little bit of everything there that goes along with race car fab, hot rod stuff. I would do some early Ford hot rod stuff.
Nice.
And the thing I love early Ford hot rods. But space, time, you got to pick what you want to work on. And, motorcycles always they kind of called out to me a little bit, and frames in particular. I don't know if I wanted to do them, but I sure as hell wound up having a lot of them lined up on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I guess somebody came in here one day. That's actually how it happened. Somebody came in and said, can you do this to my frame? And I said, yeah, sure. And then it just seemed like that was it from there out. It was constantly leaning to that direction.
Yeah. It's weird how shit works, right? Like you start off getting into something, and then you never know where the curve's going to go. And then all of a sudden you find your thing, whether that's what you wanted to do or not, but that's who you are now. And that's what everyone's coming to you for. And then that's your lane now, you know what I mean? And now you're the frame guy, it's like you need frame straightened out. You need a hardtail, whatever, you hit up Mike, right?
Yeah. That's kind of what it's become. Yeah. Like you said, it's just, whatever swerves into that lane. I was a Cadillac technician for years. I loved that job. It was great. Just kind of fell out of favor with the management at the time, and wasn't happy going to work, and I didn't really just want to go work somewhere else. So kind of fell back on fabrication part time. What I did part time.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't even sure that I was going to let that become a thing at the time. And it just happened. I got busier and busier, and then started paying the bills, and then expanded, and then some years later, get a little fed up with it, just decided that it was best for my situation anyway to go this route and go smaller and specialize in frames.
Yeah. But are you still doing some production machine work and stuff for people?
I've done some over the years. It was good when I had the other shop.
Yeah.
I had plenty of room to have stuff sit on the floor, and a couple of the places that I worked with, some local places here would call me out for small, little production runs of stupid things, that I can do manually on a Bridgeport or a manual lathe. And, some guys, there's guys from VCP had asked me to help them out at one point, and I was doing some production machine work for their stuff as well. And it was good, and it was kind of filler work for me at the time. It would be that late night stuff where, instead of wrestling frames and whatever, I'd sit on the bar stool in front of the milling machine and get a couple things done for those guys. And it was great. I learned a lot, and we forged a pretty good friendship with those guys coming into that business, and we're friends today. And they were good guys to work with and for, and I'm happy that I got to meet them through that. But nowadays, with the downsize and everything, I just kind of, again, back to frames and concentrate on that. I do some front end stuff, Springer front end stuff. And, I mean, I do other stuff too, but it's not, I really don't advertise it too often. But,
Sure.
I'll put an oil tank here or there or a fender, and you know what that turns into. Truth, you know how it goes. And somebody will come in and goes, "I just put my oil tank on," and you're like, "All right." And then before you know it, the guy's over there. He's standing in your doorway one day with a sissy bar and a seat, and a gas tank, and and
now you're building the bike, yeah.
Right. Well, not to some people they know it, but other people like, I just need this done. I'm going to build the bike. I just need you to do all this stuff, and it's like that's building the bike,
Yeah. You mean you're gonna bolt the bike back together, but you're gonna have me build all the parts.
Right. I still got to make parts, and that's what I told you when you came in. It takes a while, So if I'm going to do this, got to be patient because I really need to get the frames done,
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to concentrate on. Again, with the size of my place and my schedule and how I want to work it and what I want for myself in the future, that's the answer,
Yeah, man, that's rad, dude. And I'm so glad you're still in it and you found that and it's working for you, man. Because it's like, especially this year has been so fucking nuts, and like there's places that once shows start happening and everyone's back around, there's motherfuckers we're not going to see anymore, that just like fell off or got into other shit or had to get out of the business or out of the industry and for whatever reasons or whatnot. But like I'm stoked that there's a lot of dudes that I know that came up like around the same time that are like still in it, like longevity in the game, man. Like it gives you something to look forward to. Like I'm like, yeah, dude, I can't wait to go to this show. I know I'm going to see this motherfucker, that motherfucker, and then, and that, and shit like that.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of guys that come in around, I'm going to go back and say around the 2005 to 2010, right? I mean, that's kind of when I started, I quit my day job in that range and started 47 a few years later, legitimately. And then, and I know people all over the country from around that same time frame that got into it, for whatever reason, was it the TV thing, what brought everybody back around? I mean, I've always been into bikes of some kind. Dirt bikes as a kid, and then street bikes in my young man days, and then got into some chopper stuff, and then the TV thing did blow the world up a little bit.
Yeah.
And call it what you will. Some guys will say, "Oh, it sucks," and some guys will say, "Hey, it was the best thing ever." And I'm a little in between that. I think.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, came up and like maybe went all in, maybe a little too hard. They probably made a bunch of money and then got out. But there was a bunch of people who got in who wanted to be in that industry and are still in it. And I think that's really awesome. And that's, just, I guess maybe shows some heart, I mean, not too long after a lot of us got into it, you would say, who the hell would go into that business, and, the real estate bubble bursting and all that stuff, and the economy downturn. And somehow a whole bunch of us made it through. So we're still doing. I mean, I know some of us did better than others, and some of us have, made quite a bit of money, and some of us maybe not so much, but we're still in it.
Yeah.
And I think that just says, who's got the heart for it. You got to want to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. This is not
it's a job.
Yeah, and it's like you said, there was a time like where you could get into this, and if you were selling or building like the wide tire fucking shit, like that stuff from like the mid 2000s, you were finding guys left and right that were buying $60,000 bikes. I don't know how those guys were doing that, but like we were always building old classic vintage choppers, so we never got any big bubble where we got like rich or like made a ton of money. We always just kind of stayed just above the poverty line, and just, like we're always in that sweet Von Dutch spot where he says you want to just stay just above the poverty line, I think he said, or just below it. I don't know, but we've been right there that whole time. Like we've never gotten rich, but never been destitute. And I've
been trying to climb to that poverty line myself on Von Dutch's advice. We'll get there sooner or later, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. But it's really awesome that so many people did stay in it and rode it out, and for whatever reason, smart, stayed small, just did their own thing. But so many people are doing well with it, and those small places that, whatever you want to call them, cottage industry businesses, people are making a living for their family, and they're paying their way, and they're not asking for handouts and all that shit. So, that's pretty awesome. I like to see that. And it's a tough place to be. I mean, we see it. People get hurt. We see, we see, a dude gets injured for whatever reason, whether it be at work or, riding his bike or, who just gets cancer or something,
Yeah.
and, what do they do? There's no backup plan for a lot of people in this business. One of the big drawbacks to being in this business.
There's no retirement fund. There's no 401k. There's no insurance. There's no fucking,
Right.
And
Right.
it's all stuff you pay out of pocket for, but there's nothing provided,
Right.
And if you're not
Yeah.
smart and don't get your wits about you, and you don't squirrel money away, I feel like if I do this the rest of my life, I'm never retiring. You know what I mean? Like there is no retirement. It's just you're gonna work till you die. But it's cool work, so whatever. You know what I mean? Like
it's kind of the way it goes. Sometimes you got to be prepared and say that's the way it goes. I mean, I'd like to not be that person, and hopefully, as it progress, I won't be. But you never know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
And in the case, then it's work till you die, and what's the everybody. It sounds grim, but I agree with a lot of people who say it. You got the Smith and Wesson's backup plan. It's really wrong.
Yeah.
Just take a shovel down by the river and it's over. That's it. You got to be prepared. So that might be the worst case. But if you're smart again and you learn a little bit and you learn how to put that money away, then that's a really awesome thing to do. Don't go out there thinking it's all easy. It isn't.
No.
But I mean.
And don't be fooled because you might hit some wave where you have a really good fucking easy year, but that doesn't mean
Right.
you could have here. There's some weeks where I start off, I got like 10 grand in the drawer, and then like a week later, I'm like, where did that all go? Like, you know what I mean? Like literally, where did it all go? Like I don't know. It all went out the door.
Right? How fast can something go south in the world? I mean, you could wake up tomorrow and not feel good. Go to the doctor, find out you got some wacky, debilitating disease or cancer or something. And next thing you know, anything you saved is gone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it can happen in a flash. It's really horrible.
And I'm not even talking about grim shit like that. I'm just talking about like, oh shit, like I got 10 grand. Oh shit, wait, I got to pay this bill. I got to pay that bill. I got to pay this bill. I got to pay mortgage. And then, all right, there it goes. It's all gone. I got $300 left.
Right. What happens if your air compressor grenade?
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And it's like, well, what kind of compressor are you going to buy? You're going to buy a piece of shit? You're going to buy something good? A good one's $1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
One's $1,000,
Yeah.
So it's, anything can happen. I mean, fuck, you lose a socket, but some of the machinery in the shop that keeps you going every day, lathe, the mill, it costs you
Welder, yeah.
and it's like, wow, that could really ruin you,
Yeah.
So it's, being, you could definitely add up some loss,
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you, I know you do a lot of frame repair. Are you still doing a lot of hardtails and making hardtails and hardtailing?
Yeah,
like
still,
shovelheads and shit?
I think this year, shovelheads, since the COVID thing,
Yeah.
whatever's going on with there. I know your show's been full of people making their comments on that, and I'm sure I'll say a couple, but I'll try to stay away from it.
Yeah. Hopefully it's null and void. It seems like we're all coming out of it allegedly, and things are easing up. So let's look on the positive side of it. But we can't erase the last year and a half and what it meant for like our businesses. So like, talk about it in that context is like, like if someone don't want to hear it, then like, hey, too bad.
Right. I mean, me and you share the same. We share a lot of similar political type beliefs. I follow. Obviously, always see stuff you post stuff or whatever. I try to just keep my mouth zipped and not get in arguments with people on the internet.
And just for the record, like when I like spout stuff off or put stuff out there, I'm not looking to convert people or like force my opinion down people's throat. I'm not saying you're saying this, but just for people that are listening, like I put shit out there just to get people to think about shit and maybe think about something differently or be like, oh shit, I didn't even think of it that way. You know what I mean? And it's
Absolutely.
like, I'm not, who knows? I'm just fucking dude sitting in my shop. Like, I'm not saying I'm like a fucking Einstein or any, or a political analyst. It's just, I'm trying to put out different shit from the mainstream narrative. Are you there? You seem like you're chopping up a little bit.
Sorry, I was just trying to say, think for yourself, like look at stuff and kind of look at the angles that people are telling you, and it's like, some of there's horse shit on all sides, I mean,
absolutely.
what you I want everybody to do good. I want everybody to get along. You know, I'm pretty open-minded about most things.
Yeah.
You know, like, the world's a changing place. There's going to be things that are going to change in our lifetimes, just like our parents saw it or grandparents saw it. There's no way the world's going to stay exactly like it is. You know, I'd like to see people treat each other a little more respectfully and try to understand each other and kind of, you know, learn to kind of accept each other a little bit some way or another. Nobody's ever going to, you know, nobody's taking a bullet for you out there because you believe in something or you're waving a certain kind of flag or banner or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, do you and, you know, vote for whatever you want to vote for and what's good for you. But, you know, try to think about the rest of the world and what it does to them too. And, you know, but as far as that goes, that's all I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So anyway,
absolutely.
You know, COVID come on last year. And, you know, I got a little bit busier than normal for springtime. You know, normally springtime, everybody wants to ride motorcycles, you know, so I kind of use spring and summer to get caught up from my overloaded winter. And this year, I've been slammed.
Yeah.
It's been unbelievable. I mean, it seemed like everybody took their bikes apart. I guess people planning on, there's no shows going on. So they started taking bikes apart, you know, in March, knowing that shit was going to be canceled. And it hasn't let up. You know, so it's been the same. And shovel heads are still very popular. Actually, I think they're probably more popular now to turn them into choppers than anything else because the price of these panhead and knucklehead frames and engines and all that, just wow, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, guys are paying $6,000 for panhead frames, you know? It's like, that's a lot of money for a frame, you know. Never mind that's only a panhead. Never mind, you know, what a early knuck might go for.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Especially something that's like intact with all the tabs and everything. Like forget.
Oh
it.
yeah. You're talking anything pre-war is, you know, 9, 10,000, 11, and more. Guys are asking on, you know, I'm not that they're going to get it, but there's a dude on eBay offering a 39 knuck engine right for like $50,000. It's
Jesus Christ, yeah, that's
wow.
ridiculous.
You know, that's. I mean, but I've heard of crazy prices already. I've seen them sell for 20.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, man, you talk about building a knucklehead chopper out of original parts and you're going to spend, you know, the money to do it. You're going to spend 50, 60,000 in parts.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not everybody. You hunt, you can still find deals, you know, but, you know, I mean, that's the potential for where it's going. You know, it's kind of nuts. I'm kind of a Sportster money guy. You know, I like Sportsters for the money, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, but shovels are good. Shovels are been the thing. And I think it's just really popular. If you still buy a shovel for a few $1,000s, you can get something going. You get the VIN and all that, and then hardtail it, and you have a good looking bike still.
You know what's weird about shovels is that it's like that's an area that's like in flux. Because like I'll see someone selling a shovel head for $3,500, and I'll see someone selling a shovel head that's not as nice as the $3,500 one and want like $7,000 for it. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? They're all over the place right now. Like, and
yeah.
But it has been creeping up though. Like, you know, they were cheaper. I was buying them like, 2 years ago for like $2,500, $3,000 all day. And now that's getting harder and harder to find. And or if you do find them, they're total like shit buckets that need like total, you know, everything, you know, but yeah.
Yeah. I think that's indicating that the market is going up. You know, you got one guy who may not know any better. He's like, it's worth $4,000. I'm going to sell it. And he sells it. And it sells quick, and then that dude's taking it home and selling it for $7,000.
Yeah,
you know, and there's people doing that. I see a couple bikes on eBay that have changed buyers, and they're back on eBay again.
Yeah.
Now, I don't watch it too often, but once in a while, I'll be looking for a part for somebody, trying to help somebody locate a frame or something, and I'll be digging around on the internet, and I'll see it. I'll be like, that bike was for sale 3 weeks ago and sold for $4,000, and it's a different seller name, and now it's like $7,000. So either they're trying to scam it and up the price, or somebody bought it and they're reselling it already, and I don't going to get that much money for it. But
or you bought it and it was a total piece of shit, so you got it up there again because you don't want to deal with it. Yeah, like fucking who knows?
Right, trying to get.
Hey, you know what? This brings me to something. We just started hitting on something. One of my Patreon subscribers had asked earlier to. Because I was like, hey, Mike from 47 is going to come on tonight, and he wanted to know about kind of what we were just talking about, like what makes a good chopper or a good daily rider chopper, and talk about like, you know, Sportsters and like shovelheads versus like pans and fucking knuckles. And I think we already addressed the knucklehead. Like knucklehead's a beautiful engine, but if you're not a mechanic and you don't got 60 grand in the bank, you can probably forget about that one right now, unless you got an uncle that bequeaths one onto you. You know what I mean? Like you don't got to worry about knuckleheads right now. Fucking.
I mean, I'm not saying they're all, you know, you might find a good deal on one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I know people who have found really good deals. I just heard a story the other day. A guy told me he found a pan at an estate sale that was hidden behind the garage. He happened to wander behind the garage, and he bought a 53 pan head for $700.
That's crazy.
You know?
Yeah,
which is insane, right? You know, he sold it for $7,000 the next day. You know, it's like, but
and,
you know,
and 7,000 is not even that bad.
No, that was a good deal, right? You know, so you know they're out there, but you know, if you're gonna if you're out there and you're hunting, you know the deal. You never find what you're looking for because you're looking for it. You find it always by accident. That
you stumble on shit. Yeah,
right. You just got to have that kind of money in your pocket, and you got to wait to pounce on the accidental find. That's the only way you get something like that. So what makes a good chopper? I mean, I think the best thing, you know, well, obviously, what are you looking to do with it? Number one, you know, if you're going to ride it down to the bike night 30 miles every month or whatever and take it to a few shows, then go crazy and, you know, buy those wacky parts that are super awesome looking and, you know, whatever. But what makes a good chopper to me, I like to ride motorcycles. I like to see other people, my customers, ride them. I think reliability and something that's simple. I've always been a fan of like that mid to late 60s style, you know, small bikes, you know, hardtail frame, of course. But, you know, like a short, tight bike with little handlebars and a little spring seat, you know?
Yeah, dude, I just talked about this. I can't remember on what episode. I think it was with Wino. I was saying I like 65 to like 69 choppers where they were still short, they were still rideable. Yeah. You know, you might have tall handlebars and like a tall sissy bar or some wacky shit like that, but it's like, you know, like they handle good, they ride good, you can toss them around and they, you know.
Yeah, like almost a stock frame and a stock inline springer or something with some little, you know, with moderate ape hangers and a sissy bar on the back with a little saddlebag and shit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, they're the bikes I like, you know. But you know, that's not what's good for everybody. You know, I built everybody. You know, I did a couple last year that were like 6 up and 40 degrees, and it's like, man, that's a long front end, like a 20 over. You know, it's like, but it's what you like, your design aesthetic, you know, is whatever it is, I guess. You know, what makes a good chopper that you're going to get fun out of is how well you build it. You know, do a good job putting it together. You know. Keep simple, at least the important stuff, you know? Yep. But you got to remember that when it comes to a chopper, every piece of that motorcycle, or any motorcycle, is trying to kill you, you know? Motorcycle's so simplistic that if one thing falls off, you know, your ass is grass. Yep. So, you know, do it right, build it nice, and you know, get some help if you need it, you know? But, you know, I think reliability, you know, tuning your bike, keeping the bike to where, you know you're going to get going when you want to get going, and it's going to stop when you need it to stop. Take the time to learn that stuff and dial your bike in so that you're not that guy who's got to kick his bike like 700 times, you know, at every gas stop, you know?
Yeah.
Honorable mention to my friend Dr. Welby when he doesn't hear this because he won't listen to it.
But yeah, you know, and, you know, as far as the platforms go, it's like literally, you know, what you have at your disposal.
Right.
And I say that in many ways. One, financially, money-wise. 2, like available to you through your network of people. And 3, like knowledge-wise. Because if you have a panhead or knucklehead or something like that, like or like a you know, a K model or Ironhead Sportster, like you're gonna need to have more mechanical ability, like and you're gonna have to be more involved with the bike and like, you know, tuning and tightening shit up and fucking checking shit more. If you have an Evo Sportster or an Evo Big Twin, like you're gonna be able to push the button and go most of the time, you know, like
That's why I have an Evo Sportster, because I'm a you know, when it comes to maintenance, it's like I don't want to do it because I work on bikes all day. Yeah. You know, I'm always doing something in the garage, and my bike kind of sits in the corner. And I kind of just like going out there and starting it up and riding away, knowing that it doesn't need any of that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe, right? So yeah. So, you know, if you get into that aspect of it, you know, obviously there's money too, you know, how much are you going to invest?
Yes.
And that's like a thing about like Sportster choppers, which, you know, I've done a bunch of those, versus like a shovel head. You're going to spend more on a shovel head to buy it, right? You know, you get a Sportster chopper for like $2,000. You know, you could buy something decent, you know, up to 2003, a rigid mounted Sportster. You know, from the early 90s at least to 2003, you can get a good one, right? Low miles, engine ready to go, and you could buy one for $2,000. Whereas a shovel head, like we just talked about, you're going to spend a couple thousand more.
Yep.
The difference is you're going to spend the same amount to do all the other work.
Absolutely.
You know?
And that's what people don't realize. And I have this talk with people all the time, like, especially like in, you know, no disrespect, but someone won like their Japanese bike, you know, like I only spent $800 on the bike. And I'm like, dude, if it's a knucklehead, if it's a panhead, if it's your XS 650, if it's a Sportster, this is my hourly rate. It doesn't matter what it is. And,
right.
And it's not like Sportster hardtails are $300 cheaper than a shovelhead hardtail or whatever. It's like all the parts you're spending the same to build the bike for the most part, unless you're really looking for period parts and things like that. It's just, you know,
right.
You know, or if you're building a show bike, you know what I mean? Obviously, because now everything's going to be nice and chrome and paint and, you know, whatever, like, you know, it all depends on what you're doing. Like, you know, the purpose of the bike and then
there's the factor of what you're going to get out of it when you're done with it.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I mean, everybody, I say it all the time. They always come in, they're like, I'm keeping this bike forever. I'm like, everybody says that, you know, but nobody really does. You know, like guys build a Sportster chopper and they, you know, they go all in on it and they do all this work and they paint it and they chrome it and build a beautiful bike. But after a few years, they're like, you know, I did that one and then I went and got a slab shovel and I built that up and now I don't want the shovel head anymore because now you got the cool guy, right? The big twin, you know, and you don't want that Evo Sportster anymore. So you're going to sell it and you realize like, man, you got $18,000 in that bike and, you know, the best you're going to do on it is like $6,500.
Yeah, I was going to say like $7,000. Yeah.
Right. I think the most expensive soups and nuts, beautiful Sportster I've ever seen sell was like $8,500 or $9,000. You know, it's like they just, unless it's got like some Arlen Ness pedigree or something like that, you know, they just don't bring the money, you know. So you got to be either willing to ride the miles out of it, which is what I tell everybody to do. Put thousands of miles on this bike, you know, ride it hard, get your miles out of it, and then you don't mind selling it for less money, you know?
Yep.
Whereas if you did a shovel head, you would obviously get more money back for it. And even those the Evo big twin motors, you know, 5-speed, soft tail, whatever, up to 99, they can be hardtailed, same as a shovel head can almost, you know, basically the same brake, same frame height, same axle height, same length. So you're basically looking at the Evo version of a shovel head or a panhead chopper if you do it that way. And you could even get one of those fairly cheap. I know there's something, what is it, like 91 and 93, the engine cases. There's like some bum engine cases out there where they had issues. But if you avoid that problem, those engines and those bikes in general are still very affordable.
And what's crazy is like, and you can, I see those as choppers going for cheap money. Like there's like,
sure.
Like I see like Evo choppers all the time, like $6,000, like built. You know what I mean? And it's like, and you know, you have a more reliable bike. It's just not as sought after yet. At a certain point, it's going to go up, like because it's got it because they're getting older and getting more rare. You know, and whatever. You know, it's just
right.
Because at some point, you know, like knuckleheads right now are kind of unobtainium. You know what I mean? Like unless you are wealth or you have a connection or you just fucking blunder your way into one, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And panhead is getting that way. You know what I mean? But like, you know, you can still, you know, you could still do one. You know, you could still get into it. You know, like, but you know, it's going to be more money. But like shovel head or like an Evo big twin, if you're going the big twin route, like, you know, that's probably where you're going to have the sweetest spot and the most return on investment, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's aftermarket stuff too. I mean, there's a couple of, there's some aftermarket frames, there's aftermarket front ends, there's aftermarket engines and trans.
Yeah. You can get an S&S version of any of those motors, pretty much.
Yeah, for like what, $9,000. It's not that bad really when you think about what you're getting, because you're also getting an engine that you can ride the snot out of it, and you don't have to worry about, oh, I blew up my cases. No, so what?
Yeah, they still make them. I can call them up. Like, you blow up your 38 cases, you're going to be fucked.
Oh yeah. Then you're looking for case repair that's going to cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Or whatever. However, it's going to save your VIN number. It really is. Those things are getting. I think that's the problem too. A lot of them guys, they have those things. They're not riding them as hard because it's becoming that they're worth so much money, that you don't see them on the road so often. I mean, I know some guys will ride the hell out of the thing, and I love that. But I mean, there is an investment in some of that too that you got to kind of, again, unless you got money, coming out of your ass where you can go out and blow up knucklehead cases all day and not care, it's hard to pick an investment in that. I mean, I think bang for the buck these days. I think shovelhead, taking a shovel and making it into your chopper, your dreams, is probably one of the ones that you can still kind of win on both ends. You get in it and you can get out of it. And if you did, even a remotely decent job of building it, you can still get some good money back for it if you decide. Yeah,
and shovels a pretty reliable platform too. Like like they shake. You got to do some maintenance and go around and tighten shit up and whatnot. But there's a good amount of reliability there. Now Evo is going to be more push button, and go a little faster and whatnot, unless you build up the shovel. Like, then it's just really, then things get like performance, like how are you riding and what are you doing? Are you doing a lot of highway riding? Are you doing long rides? Are you doing short rides? You just going from the bar and want to get from bar to bar as fast as you can? There's a lot of factors into this conversation that like you got to think about when you're building a bike. And it's good to talk about some of this, get people thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, like what do you really want out of a bike? And then that's the way to go. And a lot of people, it's funny, we were talking about the S&S stuff. A lot of people hate on those, like, you know what I mean? Oh, that ain't real. And it's like, well, if you want a knucklehead and you're not a mechanic and you want to be able to really ride on the highway a lot and go 80, 90 miles an hour a lot, like, that's not a bad option. It looks pretty good. It doesn't look exact, but it looks pretty fucking close. You know what I mean? Like, if you like the look of a knucklehead engine and you want to have a little bit more reliability, the S&S ain't a bad route to me.
Right. And that real factor, I mean, it only goes so far, I mean, I'm down with the whole thing about wanting to use old parts and kind of being a little style about it. I mean, like my own panhead project that's like 10 years in the works that I haven't even gotten the frame done yet. I started with an original frame. But even that, by the time I'm done, I got an aftermarket neck. I'm going to have all this other tubing on it. I'm changing it up into a chopper, So is it really a real frame anymore? My front end's going to have all different parts on it. Is it really a factory Springer anymore? So at what point is it like, is that, worth the cool points? And I don't know. I'm not a super sentimental guy, but at the same time, I do like vintage original parts.
Yeah.
But at the point, you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? And to some guys, hands down, yes, it's worth it. To other guys, no. I mean, right back into my business, guys will come in here with a frame and it'd be like, listen, all the numbers and all the forgings and all that, they're all there, the hallmarks, the proper revision numbers, everything. It's proper for the year and the VIN on that matches my bike. And I want to put $4,000 into that frame, and turn that into a perfect original restored frame and then put my bike in it. To that guy, it's worth putting that money into it.
Sure.
And then, the next guy to walk in the door is like, here's a turd of a 53, panhead frame. I don't give a crap about that. Just make it into a cool chopper. And it's like, all right, so there's something out there for everybody.
Yeah.
And I work on them all, so it's like, I guess, it's one person's whatever they want, it's different flavors, I guess, different strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah, and you know what we didn't talk about yet, and this is kind of like the next level, not the secret weapon, but the kind of unexplored shit. Like my buddy Tom just built like a year ago, he built like a fucking killer twin cam chopper, and you're not seeing a lot of those yet. But it's going to be coming. They're 20 years old now, like the older ones. You know what I mean? Like Paco's making a rigid frame for him. You know what I mean? Like
they're 20 years old. Listen, where does that come from? Bikes get cheap, and smart guys go out there and buy cheap bikes that run they run great.
Yeah.
They make lots of power. Barring the cam chain issues that we all know about that happened over the years. But, you get one now, if that's all taken care of. You get one of these bikes, you throw this engine in there, you got a super crazy engine that makes stupid power, and you want to going down the highway. I think there's a limit.
And now the bike's a whole hell of a lot lighter, you know what I mean, if you've chopped it.
Right. Yeah, I got asked recently about doing one, about, turning one into a rigid frame. And I said, I don't know. I guess I'd be interested in kind of looking into it, but I didn't want to make the guy a promise and tell him that I'd take it on. So I said, well, we'll talk about it more. But it would be something, But like you said, Palco's already making a frame for him, and it's like, well, in that case, like, who would want to take a stock frame and turn it into a chopper when you can just buy an aftermarket frame and stick the motor in there and go to town?
Yeah, because in the Paco frame looks like it looks like a vintage style frame. You know what I mean? It looks nice. Like whereas if you hardtailed a twin cam frame, the front of it looks all goofy and shit if you strip everything off it. Like when it's on the bike the way they are now, it's hidden so you don't even really see it. But when all that shit's stripped off, it's kind of a goofy looking frame, right?
Yeah.
And
I think what a lot of guys are after with that is the VIN number, and that's a big factor for hardtail too.
Sure.
It's not the cheapest way to go putting a frame together. An aftermarket frame is probably what a hardtail job costs.
I tell people that all the time because people, can you hardtail my Sportster? I'm like, yeah, or we could get you a Sportster frame. You know what I mean?
Right. VIN number is the only thing. There's different ways around that depending on who you are and how big of balls you got. You'd get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reason a lot of guys still hardtail their factory frames. And I'm happy to do that kind of work, but if it all went away tomorrow, you got to adapt and just take what comes next. But I think that's probably why people want to talk about it, is to keep that factory VIN installed. That's, Shovelhead, you keep your factory number. The Sportster, the Evo Sportsters I built for, you keep your factory number. That way, at least there's no, legal issues on the side of the highway, which we know how that goes sometimes, depending on where you.
You know what I tell people though? Like I tell customers like that, like just save your fucking old frame or save the neck off the frame. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, you still keep your pin, but if you don't have a number on it at all, and you're out somewhere and a cop wants to give you a hard time.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I know, like Daytona, I hear they got like a VIN task force where like a group of cops walks down Main Street and like looks at VIN numbers.
Oh yeah, that's scumbag shit.
If anything looks funny, and it's like, really? Like,
listen, if you're on that task force. I don't care. And probably if you're on that task force, you're probably not listening to this. But if you go on that and you take your job serious and you're a fucking piece of shit tax revenue, or fuck you, dude. You ain't doing you ain't doing no public service. Like, fuck you. You're a glorified fucking meter maid. Fuck you.
Right. You're a maid. Right. I get it. You're looking for stolen motorcycles. Okay. If you're looking for stolen, who the fuck is going to go get, what do you think? Some like 1% bike club guys stole some bikes and took them to Daytona and parked them on Main Street?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not how that works, chances of finding a stolen bike down there is slim and none.
No, but, you're tax revenuing, dude. You're just generating money. That's it.
Right, they're down there looking for the guy who built a shovel, bought a cone shovel, put it in a Palco frame, rode his bike down there, and thinks he's okay because he's got his title and his license plate, maybe the VIN number that's in the motor on the side,
Yeah.
And he thinks it's all safe, and then they go down there and he impound his bike, and he's got to pay and go to court and all this shit. It's like, man, come on, that's horse shit. Yeah,
absolutely.
But it is a headache that does happen, I guess. And I've been on a motorcycle for like, Jesus, do I even want to talk about it? Almost 40 years I've been riding, since I'm a kid. And it's like, all the years that I've had street bikes, over 30 years, nobody's ever looked at my VIN.
Yeah.
You know, the cop runs the plate number.
I was literally knocking on my bench, knocking on wood. I'm like, no one's ever like checked on that for me either. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, knock on wood, man. Like, now we're talking about it, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's crazy, you know. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I feel like if you start with and this is another thing that's a good conversation maybe to have, as long as we're talking about choppers and building choppers. Like, where to start from? Do you piece something together, or do you buy? Like, I'm always more of a fan of buy a running bike with a title and then chop that,
Right.
Because piecing it together, you're going to spend more money, and you don't know, like, well, I got it on eBay. Well, you probably got fucked, dude. You know what I mean? Like, 7 out of 10 times you buy something on eBay, you're getting fucked. You know, if you don't know what it is, and you don't,
Right.
and like, I bought this from this guy, and like, dudes don't want to listen. Like you buy a running shovel head, and then pull everything you need off that bike. You know what I mean? And then, like, yeah, maybe you don't need the tins, maybe you don't need the fender or whatever, but like, this bike works, you rode it, everything's running, you know what I mean? Like, it, And,
If you could buy it from like a somewhat reliable source,
yeah.
I mean, if you're something from a private owner, he's owned the bike, you can see he's owned the bike for like 10 years. I mean, it's easy. Look at the title. When did he get the title issued to him,
Yeah.
If he got it 3 weeks ago, he's flipping this thing. He's full of shit,
Yeah.
Or if his name's not on it, then he didn't own it. He doesn't know.
I just mean, it's like, that's a cheaper way if you know the bike is good, because if not, if you're piecing it together, you're going to spend $1,000 to $1,500 on a transmission. You're going to spend $2,000 on a motor. You're going to, whereas you might have found a whole running bike for $3,500 and had other parts that you needed, like a primary or a tank or something,
Right, you could take the title, go down to DMV, put it on the road, ride it around stock for a couple of weeks, and feel the engine out, put the trans out, and say, "Hey, I put like 800 miles on this bike, and it runs good and it rides good. It's not what I want, but I put the time into it to shake it down. The engine doesn't leak, it's clean. Trans doesn't piss oil all over the place. It's good.
There's no weird knocking or anything. Yeah, it's fucking good.
Yeah. Right, and you could ride it around a little bit and say, "Hey, it's good now. I'll take it apart and build my chopper out of it." Definitely something to be said for that. There's also the other side of that, which is, unless you're buying it from your best buddy, somebody's like, "Oh yeah, that engine's real good. Come out of my friend's bike." It usually means nobody wants this fucking thing, so I'm going to give it to you cheap because I'm going to rip you off and I'm going to disappear.
Yeah. But that's to be said about like buying parts at a swap meet too. Like, you never know what you're getting. Like, if you're buying a motor, you might be able to tell. You can tell, like, if you can turn it over. If it's free. If the pistons are moving. But you don't know anything else about that motor when it's in a pile of parts. You know what I mean? And people want good money for shit now. Like, it's not like the old days where you could go to swap meets and get big scores. Everyone wants eBay prices. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's always a risk to buying something like an engine assembled. If you don't know what you're looking at, don't buy it.
Yeah.
If you know what you're looking at, you still got to take. You're still rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to some people over the years, and I think the statement of, if you're going to buy just an engine, then buy it in pieces because you can see it, right? But you still need to know what you're looking at.
Because buy it in pieces because even if you buy it all the way whole, like, you're probably rebuilding it anyway.
Right, you're rebuilding it anyway. So, right. If you get cases, if you know what you're looking for, and you start with cases, and you're going to buy parts at swap meets, and go find a rotating assembly, and start piecing something together, you got to do your homework. You know what? Truth, the internet, it's a big place, right?
Yeah.
Get on some good forums like the HD forums, and some of these places, and there's good people on a lot of those forums. Even Top Cult and Jockey Journal, and there's a bunch more at Cell forums. All these guys know so much. You can go and probably search out basic stuff like, I'm buying panhead cases. What do I look for? And there's probably plenty of information somebody can go and, you can get kind of like a cohesive list of things to look for from somebody who knows, I personally don't know. So I hope nobody asks me that. I look for obvious cracks and damage, but when it comes to engines, I'm lost. I'm not a Harley Davidson engine guy. Like, I fixed some motor mounts, I fixed some cases over the years, but when it comes to like actual machining of cases and all that, that's not my
Well,
not
there's
my
dudes
thing.
that know like every fucking belly number and this and that, like, you know, like, and I'm like, dude, there's encyclopedias, walking encyclopedias out there. I gotta look
Yeah.
shit up a lot, you know what I mean? Like, cause yeah.
Yeah, my buddy will pick up a case. He'll be like, this thing's a piece of shit, and put it down. I'll be looking at it and be like, what's he see that quickly, you know? So unless it had a big crack and a Frankenstein weld on it,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what he's looking at. But he sees that stuff, and I'll be like, all right, well, when it's time for me to buy that, I'll take him with me, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of them guys going to wind up with like an SMS motor in my bike because I just don't have the capacity to go through all the hoops that it takes to have that thing. And again, I'm shitty on maintenance. So for me, aftermarket parts are just fine. You know, I mean, again, I don't need to be, some people want to be that guy. They want to have that original stuff. They want to, some guys go for AMCA points. Some guys just go for that cool guy points with their friends or, other people or people that aren't their friends that they're trying to impress, and it's like, I've never been about that. So, I'm cool with aftermarket stuff,
Yeah. And it's just, I think the point is, like you kind of even said, like, do some research on what you're getting into. Like, one, think about what you need, what kind of bike you want. Like, you building a show bike, that's a whole different, avenue versus you're trying to build a solid, reliable daily rider. But I also got guys that come in that's bought a Sportster, they'll buy an Ironhead Sportster because you got it for like $1,000, and it's like, and then nothing is working and everything's fucked up, and then they don't want to pay the bill to get it fixed. And it's like, research, you got to research the format of what you're looking at more too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't go just for the good deal because you think it's a good deal, because usually, it's not. It's usually not. Yeah. Cool. You bought a Harley for $700, but you ain't buying a Harley you're gonna ride for $700. Sometimes you do. Like my boy Donnie bought a pristine fucking, like one of the cleanest bikes I've ever seen, and it was a totally redone fucking Ironhead Sportsman. He got it for like, I can't even remember what it was, like $700-800. But the guy had the receipts for all the shit he put into it. The guy put thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars getting it all rebuilt. It was like rebuilt all in the 80s. He couldn't ride anymore, and it just sat, but like, you never know what you're getting, and if something's too good to be true, more often than not, it is. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just fucking won the fucking lottery. But a lot of times you don't. You know what I mean?
Right.
My story like that, like how I got the Panhead, that's the drivetrain that's in the Rum Runner right now, is a buddy of mine came in and was like, I think there's a Panhead for sale in Dartmouth, which is like a town over. And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, where'd you see that? He goes, oh, the guy's got it at the top of his driveway with a fucking cardboard sign on it. I'm like, there's no way there's a Panhead at the end of someone's driveway with a cardboard sign, but I got to go check it out. And sure enough, I go down there, but the dude's like, I think it's a Panhead, but I don't know, it look weird. You know what I mean? So sure enough, I go down there and it's a fucking Panhead, but the guy had put it in like a early 2000s, like fucking crappy, like fucking Softail fucking setup. You know what I mean? Like wide tire, like Softail setup. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so I ring the doorbell. I'm like, what's the story with this? And he's like, well, I'm selling it for a friend who's getting a divorce and needs to make it disappear. And he's the second owner of the bike. He bought it in, I think he said he bought it in 67. The bike's a 57. And he showed me the title. It was an old title. It was like an old Massachusetts title when it was like very small, like half the size of like what a new title looks like and everything. It was like legit. And it was from the 60s. Like the title was like issued in the 60s. And I'm like, does he got the rest of the shit? What happened? He goes, nah, years ago, like, it was getting too stiff for him to ride. He wanted to put it in something a little like easier for him to ride. Now, easier to ride, it was in a Softail setup, but it was like one of those big goofy ones with like a super like stretched over like front end. But the rake and trail wasn't right, but at least. And he's like, I can't really get this thing started. And so I played with it for a second and got it started. And I was like, can I take it for a ride? And he's like, yep. And I rode it up and down the road, rode like absolute shit, but the motor sounded good. And I'm like,
Right.
you know what I mean? But it was like literally that's how I got that Panhead. It was like sitting at the end of a driveway, an old guy and his friend, and you know they weren't on the internet. And I'm like, what's he want for it? And he was like, I think he wants like $5,000 or whatever. And I was like, well, if he had all the other shit, I'd definitely be in. And I got him down, I think, to like whatever it was, like $3,000 or something, and then or $2,500, and then I pulled it out, and I was like, all I want from this is literally the primary, the transmission, and the motor, you know, like, and
Right.
I pulled those three things out that day, and the next day I sold the rolling chassis for like $1,500, and I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm into the Panhead for under $1,000, like however it worked out. This was some years ago now, and you know, that's my little come up, you know, like the walking around the back of the barn and at an estate sale come up, you know what I mean? Like I probably never have another one, but at least I had one, you know.
I'm waiting for my good one, you know?
Yeah.
Did you get that? You know Big Nick's story?
I was just going to say, you know, Nick's Panhead story that got him.
Yeah, it looks great. You know, and how to help, you know, that's it, man. When it happens, it happens. That's it. There's, you know, like I said, you're never going to go out and find it. You got to like stumble on it. It's got to just fall out. You said some guy coming out as a Panhead for sale with a cardboard sign on it. Now, if that was me, I'd go over there ready to pounce on it, and it would be like a Honda Elite scooter, like an 88 scooter, you know, with a literal pan on top of it, you know. And I'd be like, yeah, of course. But that's
no, but you never know. That's the thing, and it's like you said. The other key element to that is you got to be ready to fucking pounce. Like you got to move. Like I have a customer that's come in that wants a Panhead, and I'm like, and I've showed him like 2 or 3. I'm like, dude, this is a super good deal, dude. You got to go get this right now. I'll call him, and he waits like a week, and then it's gone. Like if you see some shit, like and you're ready, you got to fucking pounce right then and there because the next motherfucker will. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it don't last long at good prices.
No, it doesn't, man. But yeah, dude. So I know you just got back from EDR, dude. Like, and for those that don't know, that's the El Diablo run that goes through California, throughout Mexico and stuff. How was it this year, man?
It was good. It was good. You know, it's always a good time. You know, we always have fun when we go to Baja. You know.
Yeah.
You never. I mean, how bad could it be? You know,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Cycles, drinking cheap beer and tequila, and you know, hanging out in the sun.
Yeah. Eating cheap tacos.
Yeah, right. Eat crappy fish tacos from the street, and eat. What was the? We had a thing about what was the new saying this year? Ride choppers, shit pants. You know, it's like cheap beer, crappy tacos, street food, and Montezuma's revenge from hanging out in Mexico too long.
Yeah.
But it's the best goddamn fun you can have. You know, we went to Vegas. We flew to Vegas and we had our bike shipped to Vegas. I know I didn't ride my bike the whole way. It's 3,000 miles. So people like to bust your balls sometimes, but
whatever. Yeah. You also have a business to run, you know what I mean? Like, and if you're not there, you're not getting paid. You know, that's what I tell people too.
Right.
Like, I would love to ride to Sturgis, but you're gonna pay me for that because I don't have vacation pay. Like, no one pays me. Like when I'm gone on the road, like I don't have vacation days that are paid. You know, fuck you.
Right. And then the guys that had regular jobs that went, you can only get a week off at a time. Hardly ever get a couple weeks in a row. So. Anyway, we shipped to Vegas. We flew out. We had some fun. We got there a day earlier than some of the other guys, so I had a little more time to decompress. Had a good night. Just hung out, got some good sleep that night. We got in the next day, got our shit together, and the time we got out of town, it was pretty late in the day, but we made a nice run to Palm Springs from Vegas. Went down through the Mojave on 2-lane highways. So we only rode about 40 miles of the highway, and we got off on these roads that, like, if you Google Earth them, you got to really zoom in to find them,
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I mean, we went at some point. I mean, I think we were out there for 60 miles. We didn't see anything, It's just right. There's nothing out there. I
love it. I love riding in the fucking desert, dude. I love it.
It's fucking awesome. I mean, it's again, we're on a couple of older bikes anyway. My bike's I mean, it's a Sportster, but it's 20 years old and it's kind of a piece of junk, you know. We had another guy on a Sportster chopper, and then Dr. Welby brought his slab shovel that we just barely got together in time. The rest of the guys had like Dyna type stuff, you know, Dynas, and I think one was a Star, you know. But we had a good run. We got through day one pretty good. I had a little motorcycle fire. You know, my bike caught on fire.
Oh, jeez. What happened?
Yeah. Well, I'm still not sure, and my bike's not back yet, so I really haven't diagnosed it 100%. But something was arcing to the rear brake line. You know, just a stock Sportster rear brake line that goes from the master cylinder, like through the middle of the bike and out the other side, and it becomes rubber. It was arcing. Either maybe the positive battery cable rubbed through in there. I can't see, but it arced to like the side cover and blew a hole in the line. And we were stopped when it happened. I guess I had my foot on the rear brake and I was pumping brake fluid out, and I guess the arc in the brake fluid, and it lit up. So, made a nice fire, burned for, you know, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. We managed to get it put out. Morrow, a good friend of ours here from Jersey. I think you know him maybe from a couple of, you know, the East Coast gypsy runs. He was like blowing on it, you know, to put it out.
Furiously blowing on it, yeah.
Yeah, like kneeling down, blowing on this fire. And I'm like, what are you doing? And at that point, I was thinking it was gasoline, you know? And, we got it out, and I basically lost the brakes for the rest of the run, you know?
Yeah.
Wasn't able to fix it. I bought some crappy tools at AutoZone, and they didn't work. You know, flaring tools were like the worst things I ever bought in my life. I've been flaring brake lines on cars and motorcycles for like 25, 30 years, you know, and I couldn't make the goddamn thing make a flare.
You know what you're doing. Yeah, it was the tool. It wasn't the user, yeah.
Yeah, I was bad, you know. But I lost, so I just gave up. I threw the shit in the garbage. We just disconnected everything. And
did you still have front brakes, or did you just have to downshift the whole way?
Yeah, no, I still had good front brakes. So
okay, good.
My bike, I got like a tracker. You know, my Sportster's like tracker style.
Yeah.
I run front brakes and rear brakes, and you know, I like to get it a little into turns sometimes. You know, so having some brakes helps.
But you had said we just said fuck it. You just ran it without. I thought you said you ran it without brakes. I was like, what? Totally without brakes? Or just because I was like, oh man, you're going to be the menace on that run. like fucking let Mike be in the front.
right. Let him take the front this time. Right.
Yeah.
No, but we got through it. That was really, you know, all the way down to Palm Springs, and then the next day we went up on the mountains and we rode all the way down to like almost to San Diego. Then we went down into Baja. We went down to San Felipe. We spent about 3 days there. So, like you said, it's always a good run. The guys from Biltwell do a great job organizing that, you know, getting everybody rolling and, you know, kind of setting everybody up. They've laid the groundwork for that over the years. It's definitely bigger and a little different than it was 10 years ago. Yeah. But we still have a good time. We see friends from all over the country, but all over the world, really. Who show up at, and, you know, it's a good time. Hey, I know there's some people like afraid of Mexico or whatever, but I mean, I've never had any bad experiences. I guess anything's possible, you know. Then again, I've been to New York City and some other places that are pretty shitty neighborhoods too, and I'm still alive there too. Not that it's not so, but it's definitely a good time. And I think like there's so many people around, you know. I mean, I think your biggest danger might be like getting pickpocketed in town or something. You know?
So what are the roads like that you guys are riding when you get down into Mexico? Is it like, are you mostly staying on like highways or smaller roads or like,
Well, yeah, in Mexico, we're running Mexican highway.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's really all there is. I mean, there are back roads, there are dirt roads and stuff. But it's not like at all, you know, like here, you know what I mean? There's no paved road that runs kind of, you know, 2 miles in along.
Yeah.
You're either on the paved road, which is the highway, or the dirt road, which is like the truck trail or the Baja race course, you know?
Yeah.
There's some stuff in there. Like I said, I know there's roads in there, and I know but a lot of them are dirt. You know, you got a Jeep or something, it's fun. You know, I know people that do that too, and they run trips through there, you know, whether you want to go on your Jeep or side-by-sides or whatever, and they take people down there all the time, and they have a good time when they go too.
Yeah.
But for us, it's the highway. So we cross at Calexico and Mexicali, and we go right down the 5 highway, which goes right to San Felipe. So it's about 120 miles into Mexico.
Nice. And What like how many people were on it this year?
Oh, geez, I don't know how many were actually at the event.
Yeah.
Each are kind of it's become kind of more like get there and we'll hang out and party more
Okay.
than fun.
So there's
Back
there's like clusters of people like kind of going together,
Yeah.
and they're just all
Smaller
meeting up there.
Right, smaller groups, and I know the guys at Biltwell still kind of ran like an unofficial official run on Friday on the way down, but again, it's kind of like it's always been that way too. It's kind of unofficial,
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
try to run back, but you're on your own. It's always been that way. But in 2008, most people stayed kind of close together. I mean, there was only like 150 bikes in 2008. I'd
Yeah.
say this year, people are there 1,000.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like just in general. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I think it's definitely blown up. Our group was 7 or 8 of us. We had I can't remember everybody, but Pete Morrow, his brother-in-law, Mike Lopez, myself, Dr. Welby, and Tim Stack from Gigacycle joined us from Vegas because his bike didn't get there on time.
Shout
They
out to
fly
Tim
back.
and Gigacycle. Fucking solid dude. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah, his bike was supposed to get out there, and some scheduling issues. It only made it to Vegas, so he had to fly back from San Diego, and he wound up doing day one with us to get down there.
Yeah.
But I've known Tim for you too. Same thing. Riding around all the East Coast events. You get to meet him. He's a solid dude. So anyway, it's definitely a grown event. I don't know. The future of it, only Biltwell knows how long they're going to do it for. Every year I kind of think, maybe they're getting a little bit tired of it,
Yeah.
but, all good things come to an end. I'm happy I did as many as I did. If they do it again, I'll probably try to go again.
I feel like such a dick, dude, because I want to go so bad, but it's just always so tough. It's like it's at the worst time of year. Like it's like for us, you know what I mean? It's like for a motorcycle shop on the East Coast, it's like right in spring. You know what I mean? Like it's
right. Busiest time. Right.
And I'm down 2 guys at the shop right now, so it's like I'm very beholden to being at the shop right now. Like I don't got much.
Right.
I can't spread wings too much right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a lot of work. I mean, it really is. I mean, you got to go. You got to book we booked our hotel like almost a year ago. We booked our transportation for the bikes almost a year ago.
Yeah.
So, we really got to be dedicated to it and, really start thinking about it. Plus, you got to get your bike ready.
Yeah.
And even no matter what you do, when you think your bike's fine, and then look what happens at first in the flinch,
Yeah.
So, anything can happen. And, of course, us coming from the East Coast, we have that other factor of no chase trucks,
Yeah.
So that was kind of huge. Day one, we were all by ourselves out there, and you're just hoping nothing bad happens. Even with the fire, we managed to get in, and then we met up with some other guys out there in Palm Springs. We met up with 2 other guys. Dutch Rob guy used to live here in New York, and he moved out to San Diego. He met us up in Palm Springs, and then he brought a friend who drove a chase truck. So second day, all the way at least to the border, we had a chase truck. So it was kind of nice to have that, that little bit of insurance.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then, but the run itself is good. I mean, it's kind of a little bit Wild West down there. You kind of, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Nobody's really going to come out and reprimand you unless you're being a total asshole.
Yeah.
The town in the past has always been really good to everybody. Kind of a little leniency with the guys on the bikes. Everybody likes to rev the engine a little, make a little noise or whatever. But they've been better and better over the years. There's a bunch of gringos down there spending money, so why not, right?
Yeah,
It's
dude.
good for the town,
And I know, like I got a bunch of buddies in Mexico City that were putting on a show. They didn't put it on this year, but they had it. They got it going. They did it for 2 years. It's called the Amanopla Show in Mexico City, and a lot of them dudes will meet up or go to they'll go to the party. You know what I mean? To EDR like the end at San Felipe and stuff, and dude, I've never had so much fun at a bike show as I had in Mexico City. Everyone's always oh, Mexico City, watch out for this, that. I'm like, dude, if you got a common sense, you don't got to worry about shit, right? Unless you're really looking for some shit, it usually don't find you. You know what I mean? Unless you're being total fucking idiot, or you're in the 100% wrong place, which, you know, like, but those 100% wrong places, you got no reason to go there. So there's no reason for you to even be there. Like, you know what I mean? So like,
yeah, the people that really get in trouble are up to no good already, you know?
Yeah, exactly, man. You know,
I mean, y'all killed by the cartel. Yeah, well, what were they doing with the cartel when they got killed? You know?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've gone down there. I've never asked anybody for drugs. I don't do any. I drink a couple of beers and some tequila, you know?
Yeah.
I don't judge anybody. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But I'm not out on the street looking for any drugs or anything. I'm not going to run into, unsavory people, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, they're not going to just come up to me and ask me. They're going to wait, you know, they're going to, find, these people, they find each other. I don't know the signs, truth. I don't know what, like, some people just know, that guy's selling drugs. I don't even know what that looks like, you know? Because I've never had to look for it.
Yeah,
you know? So I'm lucky in that regard, I guess. But yeah, we've always done good down there. We just, we always have a great ride. This time coming home, Dr. Welby got a little bit of, he got a little bit of the Montezuma's revenge. We all did the last night. We all ate salad at one of the restaurants, and I think we all got it a little bit. His lasted a little longer. He wound up having to get a little chase truck rescue on the way home because he was just exhausted, dehydrated. So, I felt so bad for him. Like, 2 days of riding, and really, that
through the desert and shit, all hot and fucking.
Oh, he was miserable, But yeah, he's like, I'm not going to ride anymore. We're going to do this. They had to go back to San Diego with Rob, and him and another guy, Brent. They went back to San Diego and hung out, and then got a U-Haul truck the next day, and just made it back to Vegas. That was the rescue for Mark. He got something a little more than everybody else.
Yeah. Hey,
so
shit happens, man. No pun intended.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Ride chopper, shit pants. That's it.
There you go. I hope you already started making the T-shirts and stickers, because if not, there's some motherfucker that's going to start making it.
Oh yeah, they're in the works already. So if anybody's thinking that you're listening, it's already in the works. So don't go. And who the fuck would want that on their fucking jacket anyway?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's badge of honor shit, dude. You got to earn that, right? You can't just have that. You got to earn it.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't care if somebody makes it, make it.
I'm just playing. Yeah. I just fuck around. So, I always have dumb ideas I say on the show, and I'm like, no one steal this shit. Like, but whatever,
Right. Yeah, I don't care. Steal whatever you want from me. It doesn't bother me. Find another way to make something happen.
Yeah. If I got pissed about that, dude, there's so many, like, I see so many fucking offshoots of like chopper head shirts out there now that like from like lifestyle companies. I'm like, you fucking serious, dude? Like you should have just tagged me in this fucking shit at least, you know what I mean? Like I saw one shirt that was like basically 3 of my designs mashed up, like even used the same font, cool. Even used like the same font on one of them. I'm like, yeah, dude, great. That's fucking rad, dude.
Dude, I mean, we'll have a conversation in person next time I see you about that. I asked a friend to help me with something once, and basically stole somebody else's artwork. Yeah. And it was like, oh God, it's like, why'd you do that? It's like, and it put me in a spot because I heard about it, and I was still mad about it to this day,
Yeah. But, you know what? I think you've told me about this before, and because I kind of remember the context of this, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But I know it was something with like a card or a logo or something. And
exactly. Yeah, it was just a clusterfuck, and I'm like, really, this is what happens? It's like, I mean, shit happens. People make things that kind of like other people's stuff. There's only so many colors of the rainbow. Yeah.
Especially when we're all into the same shit. Some overlap's bound to happen.
Right. Get that. Like our backgrounds, right? What you got the crucified on your shirt, right? It's like so sooner or later somebody else that you kind of know is going to come up with a shirt with a similar design, right?
Yeah. Now, obviously, mine's like a play on the old fucking '69 skinhead shit and fucking Iron Cross and all that stuff. But I just put it as like a biker dude. You know what I mean? Right. And but yeah. So like, I'm not going to be mad that someone's ripping off my ripoff or something else.
Right.
But my shit was more homage. Like this is like dudes like in the same world that exist at the same time, like using shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like obviously the crucified skinhead is like an iconic thing that like thousands of different people have used. You know what I mean? Like this dude was like some of these people are just like straight just biting designs, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, fucking,
Yeah.
I feel like I should collect a royalty check off this, you know what I mean? Like, that's like when it's blatant, that's all I'm talking about. Like, but yeah, whatever, dude, who cares? Like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm sure they're not like fucking, I'm sure they're not retiring to their like, Cayman Island fucking bank account fucking on the yacht off of like ripping me off, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure we're all just struggling too, you know? But,
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing. I mean, my logo's a rip-off, too. I mean, it's Laurel Leaf, right? It's
Yeah.
the Fred Perry Laurels, or, and I worked at Cadillac for a long time, so you got the same kind of,
Yeah.
the same,
yeah, but
So,
that goes all the way back to Roman times, dude. So like, like there's like, thousands of years of fucking rip off there, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So,
How did you transition
together-
from Cadillac? I think you kind of talked about it, but like going from Cadillac tech to fucking just full-time frame guy. Like, I know you kind of talked about it a little. Did you just start like getting more and more into bikes and that just kind of took over?
I guess so. I mean, I think what really did it, like I said, I was full-time employee at Cadillac. It was good. It was a good job. I liked it. I learned plenty working there, and I made good money doing it. I just kind of, like I said, I didn't like where I worked anymore. The people that I was working under, so to speak. I mean, it's definitely just difference of opinion and whatever. I don't want to bash too many of them.
No, yeah, sure.
It's really only like one dude that really got under my skin anyway. I actually liked almost everybody else, including the owners of the dealership. We had a good deal. We got along good for a long time. And the guys I worked with were fantastic. I mean, I'm still friends with most of them to this day. When I left, it was just that got me out. But I had already been working part-time as a fabricator under another guy, So local dude here, I had him bend some tubing for me once. I had him help me with a roll cage once on a car. And that kind of led me to hanging out in his shop. And then I didn't have anything to do after work, it was a single guy. So I'm like, yeah, I'll come in here and start working with this guy and pick up some of those skills, so learn, I could already MIG weld and, I made parts for my bikes and cars and shit, but, like the average guy in his garage does, So, working in that shop, I learned how to use the milling machine and the lathe, and at least for the kind of stuff that I make, I mean, I'm no machinist.
Yeah.
When it comes to people like, oh yeah, do this and do that. I'm like, okay, now you're speaking. I'm not a machinist.
Yeah.
I'm not even a welder. I'm a fabricator. I use those tools to make what I make. And, I learned a little bit under this guy. And, I took like a welding course through the Votech just to get some technical aspect into it and hear another opinion of how things are done. And then I kind of learned everything else on my own, So, but, it went from working at the dealer and there part-time. And then when I quit the dealership, I had already had so much side work lined up in the shop anyway that I just started working on that. It was like I never lost a day of work.
Yeah.
But I guess frames, how I got to that, it was kind of just by accident. I got asked to do a frame for somebody, and I did it. And then I got asked by his friend to do something else, and I did it. And then, I guess started posting stuff. I created a website, which is probably about the same as it was then. It's horrible. If anybody goes on there, I apologize so bad. But it does give you the phone number to the shop and the email. So that's really all it does. But I at one point had a blog, and I would post things on there. And then I guess the word spread, and people were sending stuff in. And that was it. It kind of just happened that way. I kind of just got shoved into it. So, I mean, I guess you don't complain when the work's coming and you're making a living doing it. You take what comes in the door.
Yeah, man. And isn't it funny, dude, like how like with like internet, like in our time, like we're kind of lucky dudes in that like we came up before the internet, and then like we've seen like every incarnation of it pretty much. Like, like when it was like message boards, or like, well, before it was even message boards, there was like like Yahoo like email groups or something, like email lists, and then it was like message boards, and then it was like Friendster and MySpace and shit, and then then crazy, just all the shit we got now, and it's like, but like, because it's like weird shit, like I met Tyler probably from a Triumph Choppers email list in like 2000 or 2001, some crazy like that, you know what I mean? Like,
I think I had computer until like 2005.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's just crazy, you know, and just like you know, like it's got to be crazy for kids that are coming up in this shit like that, never knew how to get around or get by without it, you know, like
Right.
because even I find
Yeah.
myself, man, like shit that I used to just know by heart, like phone numbers or like directions and shit. Like now I'm like just looking at my GPS because it's like, oh, it's right there. Like, oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Remember when you had to remember your friends' phone numbers and shit?
yeah. Well, here's the crazy thing is I could tell you all my friends' phone numbers from like high school. I don't know any of them now, but I can tell you their parents' numbers from like 1990. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, you know
right.
what I mean? Like, but I couldn't tell you what their cell phone number is right now. Like best
Right.
friends.
I
You know
thought-
what I mean? It's
I
fucking
tell my
nuts.
kid what it was like when I was a kid, you know, when I was, 11, 12, 13 years old. When you wanted to find your friend, like now you got the cell phone, you call them, where you at, you go meet them. We used to BMX or skateboard all over town trying to find people.
Yeah.
And we didn't hang out in like normal places, like
No.
we hung out in sketchy places like down by the river or like the old sewer pipe, because we're always up to no good, right? So
Yeah.
there always cigarettes behind a building that you're not supposed to be behind, So it was like you had to like really wander around and hope to find your friends,
Yeah. Or it was like, oh, everyone meet up here at 7:30, and it's like if you're late, like you might have missed some shit. You know what I mean? Because everyone's gone and out on some shit.
Yeah, you get grease spotted, man. You're out. That's it. Ain't nothing there but like a skid mark from some dude's BMX bike.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. As I said, it's like, nowadays the kids got the internet, they got cell phones, they got trackers, they got all this shit. They know where they are. It's like, God, you kind of spoiled.
Well, that's the other thing too is like we probably couldn't have got away with half the shit we got away with if everyone in the world had a cell phone. You know what I mean? That's the reason there was way more anonymity and freedom and like, like people like, wasn't freaked out. Like you didn't need to know where every single person was every fucking second of the day. Like you could go disappear for a day and it didn't fucking matter, It's fucking
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
and there wasn't a million people filming everything every fucking second,
Right. Yeah, it's a little creepy now to think about it, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm saying the shit we done when we were kids that was just in the name of fun we'd probably be brought up on fucking terrorist charges now, like you know what I mean, fucking making etching solution bombs and fucking dumb shit, like you know what I mean, just being fucking idiots, you know what I mean?
Stuff, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But that was it, man.
Yeah.
That was what it was about, man. Just like I was just skating around, just being fucking idiots, like little punk rock kids, whatever, That's what it was.
Yeah, that was it. Skateboarding, BMX biking, whatever.
Yep.
I mean, the excuse of going fishing, to go down. Like I said, we used to go fishing just to go to the river and hang out.
Yeah,
that was just how kids were allowed to like get off the street and get down by the river where nobody could see you.
Yep.
Yeah, and then go down there. Like I said, it was always like smoking cigarettes or cigars or chewing tobacco or got a little older, a couple of beers, and then then some people get into other stuff. Luckily, again, I stayed away.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still fun though. No matter how you look at it, we had a good old time doing that shit. Nowadays, I'm kind of glad I know where my kid is all the time though, because of that.
Yeah. I just wonder. It's just crazy because I don't got kids, so like it's different. But I live vicariously, and like I'm a godfather and shit. Like so, it's just weird seeing how kids are compared to like. It's like you got the world at your fingertips, but you don't have like as much of the real connections to shit because a lot of it's just like a virtual life. Like it's weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah, I would say, especially this last year, it's even crazier. So many kids are people got their kids locked up. They don't want their kids going to school. They interact with other kids. It's like really, there's a lot of craziness going on in the world with that shit.
Yeah.
I get the hell out of the house, get outside, go do something,
Yeah.
I killed him yesterday. I took him to the swap meet, so it was like 3 hours, with me in the car and down to the swap meet and back, he was miserable by the time we got back. But I got him out of the house for a while,
Yeah. Was there any good come ups at the swap meet?
I browsed very briefly, I wasn't looking for anything, but I did see lots of good parts. It was down here at New Egypt Speedway. Mitch Bodine, Magoo 117 on Instagram. He puts it on. He does a couple a year there, and for local swap meets, that's good.
Yeah.
So again, small but lots of good, like old, like vintage stuff, good chopper stuff. It's pretty all right of a swap meet for Sunday afternoon in New Jersey. It's pretty all right.
Hell yeah, dude. What else going on, man?
No Long Beach swapper anymore.
Yeah, no, I know. California dudes are so spoiled. They don't even know how good they got it sometimes, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But whatever. But yeah, man, what else going on, man? Anything new in the works, or any plans for anything this year with 47 or anything?
No, just kind of more of the same, I think. Just keep doing work and keep making a living. I don't really have any huge plans to be doing anything. No. I wish there was a better answer to that, dude.
Yeah.
I really wish I had something more to say about that. Like, oh yeah, we're going to do this or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that's really, I never really thought of what I could say there. I could.
But it's weird because it's contingent on what the fuck happens in the next couple of months, right? Like, is shit really going to open up, and is shit going to be going on again? Or is it going to be like, all right, they open up for a couple of weeks and then fucking shut it all down again? Like, it's hard. It's hard to even plan anything right now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. I mean, it's weird because you see so much going on in different parts of the country. You got some states that are going full open. I mean, Massachusetts now, right? Aren't you guys like kind of getting to the point where it's going to be like all open soon, like everything's back to kind of normal?
Yeah, allegedly on the 29th they're going to let everything open back up yet, but I think it's still, I got to look into it. That's the problem, right? Is it everything changes and gets weird? Like I don't know, like they were saying the masks might continue on for a while or something, but like they're going to let everything open up again. Like I don't know, like we got to just wait and see what the hell happens, right?
Right. I mean, any step forward back to reality in that is fine with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I never, again, touching on this, who knows what's going on with this shit? You don't know really what to believe sometimes. You got to make your own call on it.
Yeah.
But it's like, at least, we know that, didn't they say like Florida's it's going to be, everybody's going to die, and it's like, and nothing happened. And Texas, everybody died and nothing happened. Now there's all these other states, and some states who never even had, like, if I understand correctly, Missouri never even had a mask mandate.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some didn't, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they never even had a mask mandate, and yet they don't have any issues there. So it's like...
But they also don't got people living on top of each other like New York or something either,
right. Way more rural than New Jersey and Massachusetts are, for sure.
Yeah.
But but still, you still have cities. You have St. Louis, and it's a city.
Yeah, it's true. It's true,
and they don't have the problems that we have, supposedly had here or whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
So it's like, so how can you just keep that, how do you keep that line of thinking? Don't you have to like look at it and go, well, they did okay there, they're doing okay there, they're doing okay there, then why shouldn't we be doing okay here?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're in the worst part of the fucking country.
Yeah.
There's nowhere more fucking stacked than we are here.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, besides like, LA, you know what I mean?
Well, even there, look at this. It's busy and it's packed, but it's packed at a different level.
It's more spread out. It's more sprawled. Yeah.
LA's huge. It takes like all day to go across LA. Whereas here, from one end of that metropolis to the other is almost as far as from me to you.
Yeah.
It's hours. So, and here we got like New York City. What's this? There's hardly any buildings in New York City that aren't like 20 floors tall, because there's no space for small buildings,
Yeah.
So you get stacked on top of each other, next to each other, on top of each other for, how many floors, it's just that dense. So, you're really, I guess that's, just making it worse, or is it not making it any worse and we're making it worse, I don't know. I don't know what to think.
Yeah. All we know is that let's get shit fucking open and fucking hopefully everyone just goes back to living life, man, and not being scared and
right, don't be scared. In the beginning, I was all for like, okay, let's do whatever we got to do, listen to people, let's hear what happens and everything. And here we are a year and change later, and I'm like, all right, it's like, yeah, all right. I know people who have died from COVID, but were they going to have issues or die anyway? My aunt died, my uncle died. Yeah, they were in their 80s. My parents had COVID. They're fine, and I know people that got it and had a harder time with it, but, some got through it, some people don't, and that happens all the time, it's like.
That happens with everything, man. Like the regular flu. Some people get it and it's like nothing, and some people are fucking knocked out, and some people die like walking pneumonia. Like it's all different,
My aunt got COVID and they were like, oh, your aunt died. I'm like, oh, that sucks, I loved her, but she was already, almost 80 years old. She had a collapsed lung and a pneumonia already.
Yeah.
And she was in a nursing home for like the last year. She had no desire to really live anymore, And she got this, and that was, she just kind of gave up,
Yeah.
It's like, and my uncle's like a cancer survivor that's had multiple strokes and has heart problems. It's like, hey, you got it. And, he went, it's like, I ain't happy about it, but nobody can live forever,
No.
It's like, I don't want to make anybody sick. I don't want to endanger anybody, but if you're afraid, stay home. If you're not, go about your business,
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, we went to that show in New York a few weeks ago and everyone was up in arms about that. But it's weird because people now are just selective of what they're up in arms about. Like you had, a show in New York City and in the park outside and, maybe 3,000 people there and people were all up in arms about it. But then like the next day there's like events at like arenas with 15 to 20,000 people and no one's saying a fucking word. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
What's the deal? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
we both got the same background. It's all, we know what's up. Punk rock. When you start listening to the government, it was one of the things that like really bothered me. About a lot of people that got mad. It's like, I thought since when do you listen to what the government tells you to do,
dude?
Since when don't you think for yourself?
And it's crazy, yeah.
If you did think for yourself and you said, I want to stay home, then stay home.
Yeah.
This isn't for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And and nobody was there like calling people names for not coming out.
No, of course not. No.
They don't trust their child. They want to take that chance.
And no one cared if someone had a mask on or not or whatever. Like everyone's just having a good time, dude.
Nobody cares if you want to wear them. You want to wear a mask, wear it. I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care. Like people driving in their cars by themselves wearing masks and gloves. It's like, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. That's you, man.
Yeah. I don't come down on them, but I do kind of laugh when I see that. I'm like, dude, you're by yourself in your car. Come on,
Right, but at the same time, I know the guy's situation. Maybe he's got really bad asthma and a history of problems.
Yeah. Maybe he jerks off with a condom on. Who knows? Fucking.
You never know, right? But it's like I don't bust your chops for that. I understand. Some people are more cautious than others. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's the way to go. I kind of grew up rolling in dirt and whatever, and eating off bench and with dirty fingers that I just had on somebody's tire that rolled through dog shit 20 feet before it pulled in the yard. So it's like I'm kind of used to all that germ.
Well,
over here, I'm breathing fumes and God knows what. It's like hopefully live in Manville, New Jersey, right? It's the asbestos capital of the world. If you never heard of that, look up the Johns Manville Corporation, right? So, just breathing in this town for a number of years was like, you're breathing asbestos. You're going to breathe it. It's just in the air. So it's like I'm not worried about a virus. And I think within reason, nobody really should have been freaking out about it,
No, but it's like, but people were just buying the pill that the government was forcing down our throat.
Yeah. But we've had viruses before. We've had flus before. We had Spanish flu. We had another flu.
Swine flu. What was it? H1N1. Bird
people
flu.
Dying. You didn't blow it up to what you blew it up to this time. And maybe it was precautionary, okay? And then when you realize that it kind of leveled off, maybe you should have said, okay, it's not looking as bad as we thought it was.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back to normal. You're dragging it out. We're I don't even know how long now. What are we in, like 15 months?
Crazy, yeah. And it's like,
I don't know.
Yeah,
14 months. Yeah, it's been 14 months. Yeah, it's insane. So it's like, yeah, I think it's a little much, you know? I mean, hopefully, like I said, hopefully the hysteria dies down when all the millions of people aren't dying, and then they find out that there's people who are not dead just because of that, but because of other things,
Yeah.
you know? Like these numbers, the counter, you know, on TV, you know, almost like it was like it was a lottery drawing. You know?
And it was weird too because there was so much funny stuff going on too with like patent statistics and like hospitals just like inflating rates to keep like money coming in and crazy shit like that did happen, absolutely, and it's not conjecture. Like I got friends that like a hospital manager. I worked in hospitals for a long time, and they're like, yeah, everyone who came in with sniffle, we would lay him with cold, and we got $8,000. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and because otherwise they were going to go out of business because no one was working and everyone was home and no one was going to the hospital because they couldn't do any unnecessary procedures and shit. So like they had no choice, like, you know what I mean? And so I'm not blaming them to try and stay in business. But anyway, you know, the end of the day, the thing that just got me disheartened about it is how so many people just bought into it and worked in a fervor and like didn't sit back and just think. And be like, well, it's really, and this is no disrespect. Like, you know, whenever we have this talk, I always say, this is no disrespect to anybody that lost anybody to this and like, or had it bad. Like, just realize it was an extreme minority, you know, amount of people that, you know, it was an extreme small amount of people that you know, really had it bad or passed from it. But
yeah, and again, you know, I'm not a denier that.
Oh yeah, no, I know, yeah.
You know, like I said, my parents had it. My friend's father was hospitalized for it. I had a couple of people close to me who passed, who had it. You know, I'm not denying it, but I you know, at the same time, let's not sugarcoat it or be selective about it.
Yeah.
Most of the people had some kind of underlying issues, you know?
Yeah, and the average age of a significant number of people that died from it were over the age of 70, you know what I mean? So it's like...
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and my old man's 68, and my stepdad, he's 68, and, you know, he got sick for a couple of days, but, you know, he's not the picture of health, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he kind of brushed it off, you know, and it was like, you know, I think everybody kind of got hit differently with it. And again, I'm not going to belittle anybody, and getting back to the hardcore show thing, you know, stay home, fine. If you wanted to go out and have a good time, then you went out and had a good time.
Yeah.
I think coming down, those guys, you know, everybody involved in that show, I think that was kind of horse shit. I don't think it was very cool, you know?
But what I mean to me, what was disheartening is that some of the people that were coming out against it were some of the more like... and I'm not using this term derogatory, but like the super like anti-government, like crust punk dudes and stuff like that. And I'm like, how the fuck are you buying into this? Like you worship Discharge. Did you ever listen to the fucking song State Control? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking crazy, dude.
I agree. I mean, everything. It's like, you know, what I've realized over the last year or a couple of years, let's say, but more so in the last year, is that a lot of people, like, they got this, you know, I thought they would be more anti-establishment, but yet they promoted someone who was really establishment, you know?
They fell right in line, but not only did they fall in line, they were cheerleading it, dude, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man?
Yeah, it's, you know, I appreciate the guys who say it doesn't matter. Like, some people are just like, they both suck, you know? Yeah, okay, I can get down with that. And I'm okay with if you didn't like somebody, you know. But we had people like out there who were like calling me names because I didn't support their candidate, you know.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, man, I think that's a little much, and I think that's a little weird, and I don't know where that mentality comes from, you know. I was never about that. I mean, punk rock background, you know, as far back as I can remember, you know, 6th, 7th grade. I mean, that's all I listened to since then in the 80s, you know. And I've kind of always appreciated everybody's input into that, you know, no matter what their political type affiliations were. I always listened to them and at least listened to what they had to say and granted them the right to have that opinion.
Sure.
And, you know, kind of listen to it and say, okay, that person's about this. It might not be what I'm all about, but I might not be all about this other thing either, you know? You know, I never really fell in with left-wing and right-wing politics.
No.
I always like right in the middle and just kind of listen to everybody and said, you know, take a little of that and listen to this and, you know, kind of kind of keep it in the middle,
Yep.
kind of stay moderate. And I've done that for a long time. When the far right was like in the 80s pushing, I expected a pushback, from the other side. And now you have it from the left, and it's like, but now if somebody on the right even just a little bit disagrees with them, they instantly label them as like a fascist or a Nazi or something. When I think it's the other way around.
And the crazy thing is that, just like you said, the far left, not all left, but like the far left are employing fascist tactics to promote anti-fascism. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, you're fucking what?
right. It's just as bad as the right, the extreme right. I don't want to be either one.
No. And the thing is like the thing to keep all that in perspective is that the far left and the far right, like they're the ones who are screaming the loudest, but there's way less of them than people that are more kind of common sense and in the middle of things,
Most people, I think, got a handle on it, and especially like by now, I think everybody's got the COVID thing like kind of figured out. I mean, there's a couple of people who are still pretty extreme about, the masks and the whatever and distancing and not going out and whatever. And hey,
do you? That's cool. Like that's what you want to do.
How many years do you get?
Yeah. Like we all just lost a year of doing shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like no matter what, like there's no other way to look at it. Like the government took like, not just the government, but like powers that be literally took a year of our life, shut the economy down for a year and put 40% of small businesses out of fucking business. Like, was it worth it? I don't think so. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see how it was worth it. You know what I mean? But
and that's the thing about it too. Is like, that's the big thing. All right, you want to have masks, and people think that's going to help. Fine. You want to work on a vaccine. Fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. When you start telling people that they can't open their business because it's non-essential, but I can go to somebody else's business. It's kind of stupid, I could go into so many different places and they're allowed to operate, but I can't go to another kind of business.
Well, the crazy thing to me is when they're telling you you can't have anybody at your house for Thanksgiving dinner that doesn't live with you.
That's nothing about safety.
But then the next day, you can go to Walmart to Black Friday sales and jump over 1,000 fucking sweat bags to get a fucking $50 TV or whatever the fuck you're doing. Like, like that to me just shows the government doesn't give a fucking shit about you. They're not doing anything out of concern to you. It's all about fucking control and it's power and money grabs, dude. Like there's nothing has convinced me otherwise yet, like just laying it out, like saying it as plain English as I can, dude. That's all it is.
I agree with you 100%. Just like you said, you can't have people at your house, but you can go, but yet I could go to a restaurant with the same people and sit down at a table, take my mask off.
Yeah. But you can't. But you got to wear your mask when you walk to the table because COVID only floats at like 5 feet, 2 in the air.
Right. Got to get under it. Right.
Yeah. Once you're under it, it's fine. Yeah.
I looked at that and I go, I see the idiocy here, and I can't believe that I talk to people and they don't see that stupidity.
Well, you know what it is a lot of people saw the stupidity, but they were put in a place where they had to go along with it to keep their business open. And I felt bad for them. Like, so I would comply in those situations just to not give the motherfucker trying to keep his business alive any hassle.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it, dude. Like, like,
mask on, go into the guy's deli down the street because he's got to have the sign on the door and all that shit, know? I don't want him to get in trouble because I'm not wearing a fucking mask.
Yeah, that's not my hill to die on. You know what I mean? But like,
right? Yeah, I'm getting closer to that hill. I think. Yeah. But I mean, I just can't wait for it to be over. We all talk about it. What did I say? We're not going to talk about it. There it is.
Yeah, it's hard not to, man. It's been like the only thing going on in our lives for the last year and a half, or like not the only thing. Obviously, a major thing, a major component of everybody's lives. Like it's been forced down everyone's throats. So you got to kind of deal with it. And I'm just. Like I said, like I don't try and sway anybody or make anyone think something one or the other. I just try and present an opinion or a thought, and it's like to get people to think a little bit different. And it's like at the end of the day, my thought about it is, as an adult, you can make your own decisions. Like the government is not our parents and is not in a position to put you on, to ground you and keep you in your house. Like,
Right.
but
Right.
but to
Agreed.
say you can't go to that business, but you can go to Walmart where there's 2,000 people like lined up at the door to buy fucking TVs on Black Friday, but you can't
Right.
go to your grandmother, you can't go to your aunt's house or whatever, or whatever, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's
Yeah.
not the position of the government. And if you think that's the position of the government, like, you're in the wrong fucking country. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I
and
agree.
you're gonna let it get to be some shit that it ain't. Like, we need to fight that shit. And like, you know, obviously, if this was like a crazy, like, real deal, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands and whatever, like if it was like a real deal, like crazy pandemic, like, yeah, you gotta, and no matter what, like, I guess my point is, like, you should do things like out of precaution to protect your neighbor, out of, like, a moral responsibility to do that, not because the government mandates it. The government shouldn't be in the position of mandating that shit. That's all I mean.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
They
Like,
they could tell you, like, hey, we advise you take precaution around the elderly, the susceptible to being sick and all that stuff. But they can't tell you can't go
yeah.
or you can't do something. Right. Yeah, I agree 100%. There's a lot of, I mean, I don't give a fuck who's the president. The government.
No, I'm not. Yeah, that's why I said I didn't say Trump or fucking Biden or anything, because it's
Right,
like,
right,
it doesn't matter.
right.
They're all. It's like, to me, that's all WWF shit. Like, they're all on the same team. Like, one team plays the heel and one plays the hero, and then they switch it up every 4 years. You know what I mean?
Right. And I hear that too. I mean, you know the deal. Those guys. The president is just the president. All right. Does he have some power? Sure. But really, where's the real trouble lie? Congress, senators, congressmen, representatives. All those people are the real troublemakers. They're the ones who are really pushing their dumb shit. They're the ones who are starting all the fucking real trouble. And they're the ones who really lay down the law, so to speak,
Yeah.
And that's the real fucking problem. And, the people who've been there, and I know your feeling on political incumbency,
Oh, yeah.
I know you.
Term
it's
limits.
like-
Absolute term limits, dude. Because you know what? It sucks because there would be some good people we would lose, but the good would far outweigh the bad. I mean, from that, you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. I read a thing where a guy was talking about not wanting term limits. And, he made a point that, term limits are bad because if you get somebody who people want, they can vote for them over and over again. The problem is it's America, and there's complacency. People are like, I don't know, I'm living pretty good here. I'll just vote the same guy back in again.
yeah,
That's how we got people who have been there for 50 friggin' years.
yeah,
Because it's like name recognition. It's like, oh, I don't know. Let's say I live in Delaware and I do okay down here. Biden's been there. Oh, let's keep voting for Biden.
yeah.
That guy's been for like 20% of the time the country's been a country. He's been steering the ship to some degree.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, and then they got a guy. They got Trump. Again, I'm not going to defend the guy. I'm not going to say it was awesome, but I liked him better than I like Biden. You know, but he wasn't a politician, and you finally got the guy who wasn't a politician.
So that's what I liked about Trump, is that you get the guy that wasn't a politician, but at the same time, my problem is that Trump was such a douche, like, as a person, that even if he had the best policies, people wouldn't get behind it because everyone just hated him. You know what I mean? And,
Right.
and so,
I mean, I kind of wrestled with that the whole time too, because it's like I kind of felt the same way. Guy's a little bit of an asshole,
yeah.
But but again, it's like, well, is he an asshole doing a good job, or is he a nice guy doing a shitty job?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a guy who plays it nice, but he's lying to me, and he's doing all this behind everybody's back. So it's like he had nothing, he had no background, he had no upcoming in politics. I was kind of happy to see somebody like that in there,
Yeah, I just wish it was someone else. Yeah, it's just like.
So getting back to that guy, you're saying, you get somebody good, and if you have term limits, you get them out. Yeah, but you'll also have people come out to vote for him, because they'll want to get rid of or put somebody in, you know? So it might spark that, Yeah, I think lifetime politicians in Washington or even your state or local government is a bad idea.
Absolutely.
I mean, people started town councils, right, or city councils, and they work their way up, and then they're in the county government. Then they become state government, governor, and eventually the president. 50 years of government later, it's like, and the government's broken, so why would you vote for somebody who's been doing it for 50
And then,
years?
you just got someone that's trained to be in the fucking, in the bureaucracy machine, and
No, you don't
and
even
then they lose touch with
get-
reality. You know what I mean? Like, I think they should be like, I don't know, like I'm not saying anything. Like, it's fucking, like it's just like, obviously, it's like it's too fucking crazy right now, and fucking
nobody has all
answers. Yeah,
nobody has all the answers.
yeah.
I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. Nobody does. But together, getting together, talking it out, maybe we can find those answers. I mean, that's how we got here. That's how the world works. We talk it out. We try to find the best way to go, and we go.
Yep.
But the system's been broken for a long time, and we haven't done anything to fix that.
No, and it gets worse, and
Right.
and we're just in crazy times because you got a rampant government that's like expanding their powers and their reach, and
Right.
and exponentially, and then you got a population that's never been as divided. In my lifetime, I haven't seen people so divided, you know what I mean? And you got
Right.
people walking on eggshells because if you say one thing a little bit wrong, they're worried about getting canceled. And then people are getting canceled and fucking crazy shit I'm like, that's not very American. Like whether you agree with someone or not, like they still have a right to have that opinion and voice that opinion. It's not
Right.
like you shouldn't shut them out. You know what I mean? You should just have a better fucking argument and like convince them otherwise. Like, but obviously you're not going to get to everybody. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know how to
Right.
explain it. Like to me, it's
Yeah, I
like
don't like
some dude could totally disagree or have like the dumbest fucking, to me, the dumbest fucking ideals or the dumbest thoughts or beliefs. But like, all right, dude, that's you. As long as you ain't fucking with me or my family or anything, like, you think whatever you want, dude. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, and no matter where they are on the political spectrum, it's like,
Yeah, I think you're right. And that canceling shit, where you just like, I don't like this, so we're going to cancel it. It's like, wait a minute. It's like and again, you're pushing all the wrong buttons. You're fucking with the wrong people. That's not that's not the problem. And it's almost like you got to wonder who creates that buzz about certain topics.
yeah,
Get people up there to not look at the real problem, the real issue, between the people. We're not supposed to fight each other. The people shouldn't be divided like they are. Like you said, it's not supposed to be that way. They want that on purpose. I mean, I think me and you and a bunch of other people listening are going to know that. They want you fighting each other. They want black and white to fight. They want religious groups to fight. For whatever reason, because it gives them the ability to make new laws and protect you, quote unquote. So that they can take more control of your life. It's really kind of shitty.
yeah, it's shuck and jive, dude. Like, keep you guys fighting about all this dumb shit, and then in the background we're doing this, and this, and you're not even noticing.
Right. Yeah. It's like it's a smoke screen for political power takeover. In my opinion. And if you fall for it, then man, you're the sucker. I mean, I'm not. I haven't fallen for it. The problem is that no matter if you fall for it or not, sooner or later, it's going to come and affect you somehow.
Absolutely.
But it's going to affect you. How long is it before somebody comes into your shop and asks you which side are you on in this debate? And that makes a difference over whether or not you're going to work for that person or not.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how do you feel about masks? So I don't really want to wear one. Oh, well, then I'll take my business somewhere else. It's like, really? That's what it's going to come down? You already got that, right? Aren't they saying if you're vaccinated, you can go to the ball game without a mask on, right?
Yeah. Well, I as of May 29th out here, I guess you can. Who knows? Everyone's still masked up out here.
Yeah. Here, I don't know. I live in Jersey, so we're going to be like the last state holdout for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jersey's a weird one, right? Like, you guys, yeah. Jersey's a weird, but like, it's quieter than New York. Like, so like you guys deal with shit for longer, but like it's not as like doesn't get brought up as mainstream as like shit like in New York or LA or something. Like Jersey kind of flies under the radar.
Yeah, we're New York South,
Yeah, because you're in the shadow, so you know what I mean. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and Jersey's a weird state too because there's everybody thinks everything. Oh, Jersey, what exit? What do you got a smokestack in your yard? It's like
it's a lot of rural area and beautiful rural area out there. Yeah,
most of it is. Most of it's open.
Yeah.
I mean, a good a good, like 80% of the state is like kind of farmland, really,
Yeah.
I mean, if you go south of New York City, and 20 miles west of the Hudson River, it's pretty much rural, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, I live on the edge of the more urban area. My town's like the last one. If I leave town, I roll out of here. I got a joke with a friend. I said, I think it's 5 traffic lights to the Delaware River from my house. On the other side of the state to cross into Pennsylvania, it's 5. I can do it in 5 traffic lights.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. If you think about, for Jersey, so it's like, I'm right on the edge of it. So I deal more with like the more rural side of the state,
Yeah.
I don't really, I try not to go up north and east of here, It's just traffic and chaos and, the attitude, I try to stay away from it as much as I can.
Yeah, of course. It's like, I think that's all of us. Like, when we were young, all we wanted to do was fucking tool around and get in trouble and live in the city. And then, like, the older we get, I'm like, yeah, I can't be rural enough right now, man. Like,
Right. Yeah. Go to the city when you're younger because you can go there and get away with stuff because you blend in and right?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's open, you go, everything's a little more easier to do,
Yeah, plus I just loved living in the city because it was young and fun and going out and doing shit and fucking getting yourself home like it wasn't as big of a deal that, now I'm 40 minutes outside of Boston and I love it, you know what I mean? I'm like, I can go in and go to a show or something and get home and fucking, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I don't go to a lot of shows because a lot of them happen in New York City and I don't even want to go.
Yeah,
cost me a fortune.
Of course, yeah. Just parking, whether you're taking a train or parking or whatever, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, I went to Long Island, a month ago? It was $35 in Bridgeport.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. But that's what people don't realize. Like you go over that fucking George Washington Bridge once, like fucking, you better have some money on you, motherfucker. Like fucking.
Yeah. Well, you don't need money anymore. You just send it to your house now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's no stopping. I went over to Goethals Bridge to Staten Island, and I took the Verrazano over to Brooklyn, and it was, it didn't stop anything. Just go through the barrier, and then they just mail it to your house based by your license plate. Yep. No easy pass, nothing. Just go, and they just mailed me a bill. They're like, there it is. You got 30 days to pay $35. I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Isn't that stuff?
Yeah, and that's like, that gets into a whole new area of like tax and fucking fuck you-ness to the, you know what I mean? Like, like that's a whole other can of worms, dude. Like,
that's why I don't like the city because I got to go. I got to pay like $15 to get through the tunnel just to get into the city, and then try to find a place to park your car. Oh my God, it's the cheapest way in, I guess, is still to take the train, but from here to get the train's a little bit of a pain in the ass. So
yeah, exactly.
I just hate going. It ain't like the old days. We used to go to City Gardens, back in the.
Oh, yeah,
80s.
man. Yeah.
City Gardens was a joint. We drive. It was a half an hour drive from here. You could park in the parking lot and walk in and have a good time. Go to the shows, see the bands play, and head on home. It was good. Jersey for a long time had lots of good shows. New Brunswick had the Melody and Court Tavern.
Yeah.
We see everybody played those places. And it was always good, but lately, I don't know what I don't even know if Jersey even has any decent venues anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Is let's see when everything opens up, like, and the dust settles, what's left? Like, I know a lot of Boston venues have closed. You know what I mean? Like, that are done because of the pandemic and shit, and fucking
right.
Like, and I'm sure that's happening everywhere. So like, when this dust settles, like, what's going to be left? It's going to be crazy, but and all we can hope for is that motherfuckers start new shit,
Right. Yeah, somewhere, right? I mean, New York City is still a couple of venues going on, right? That are having shows now again.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a couple around, but I don't know that there's any big, where you're going to have a bigger name band or whatever, or somebody's going to fill a bigger venue. I mean, a bar.
I think what's going to be lost is like the middle range venues, like the real small shows will still happen, and like the real big venues can happen. But I think a lot of the mid range, like 500 to 1,000 people rooms or something, or like,
right.
Like that's going to be the problem,
Right. Yeah, and some bands, can sell them and fill them. It's like, I mean, like Madball. Madball plays a show. I mean, what are you going to go? They're going to play a bar,
Yeah, that's
not
what I
gonna
mean.
play-
But that's what I mean. It's going to be
right?
hard for that type of stuff unless it scales down or up,
Right.
But we'll
Yeah,
see,
so-
man. Hopefully this summer everything starts popping again. Get out there and fucking remember what it's like to fucking live and do a lot of fun shit,
Yeah, I'd like to see some of all them guys get back to work too, all the bands and everybody, people work in the bar industry and restaurants. I mean, I'd really like to see that starting to kick up again and everybody get back to, making a living and paying their way and being happy again, really, really be nice to see that.
Yeah,
And of course, bike events too. I mean, I'd like to see them. I don't go to a lot because I just don't, but, I'd like to know that they're going on,
Absolutely, yeah. And let's all get out of this dependency on the government for mindset that's going on. Whether people aren't wanting to get back to work, like it's hard, tough. It's hard because I know there's people that make more money on unemployment than they do on going back to work. But guess what, motherfucker? Like, when you say the government pays unemployment, it's not the government. It's your fellow citizens that are paying that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
You're
taxpayers that are
fucking-
paying that. You're not fucking the government. You're fucking your neighbor. You know what I mean? Like,
and yourself,
and yourself.
You're-
Yeah.
Just half of them people that pay into it, they didn't even get anything,
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's why people are like, oh, what are you mad about the government? Well, people don't. Do you not understand where tax money comes from? Where that money to the government doesn't make the money, you make the money, and the government gets it, and then they divvy it up the way they see fit, which is usually pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And now you're sitting there going, oh, they're going to pay for it. And no, you're going to pay for it, and if it ain't you, it's your neighbor or your uncle or your mother and father or
Yeah.
your daughter. It's like it's you gotta stop that mentality that there's this invisible person called government who has all this millions of dollars
That
in his
pays for
pocket.
shit. Yeah. All they do is take from us, appropriate
It's
however
your-
they see. Yeah. And the government doesn't make money. The government takes money. You know what I mean? That's all you got to remember.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it too. Right. And then give it away to people who, usually don't need it,
Well, yeah,
I mean,
because there's and before everyone says like, "Oh, you can't come down with." I'm talking about like corporate welfare, like they're taking my money and giving it to corporations so they can open up a fucking, so they can at one point the government was giving money to McDonald's so that they could advertise overseas, like fuck you, or Amazon gets all these tax-free properties and shit. Like Amazon paid zero in taxes. Do you understand that the average American paid more in taxes than Amazon, the corporation, paid in fucking taxes? Like, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always money that needs to go to people, right?
absolutely,
There's always welfare, unemployment, right? I mean, you pay into unemployment, let's face the facts. But there is things. There's programs that the government takes care of, right? We use tax money to take care of vets at the VA hospital. We use tax money for welfare problems, and for all kinds of stuff that needs to be done, right? You don't need to give money to airlines to bail them out over and over again.
yeah, or banks, dude. Like when they gave money to banks.
Or back. Right, yeah, back. Yep.
And then the banks were like, fuck you, like a couple years later, and then money was going missing, and they're like, where did this go? And they're like, fuck you, and we don't have to tell you, yeah.
The banks have so much money, they're buying fucking football arenas, but we got to give them money,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Right? That's the name on all this shit, right? That all costs money, but we're giving them money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fucking ridiculous, It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It is,
fuck
dude.
you.
It is. Well,
It's
dude.
crazy. We should talk more about that than anything else, which kind of fucking sucks, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find out more about what you're doing? I know you said your website hasn't been updated, but no one's updated their website in a long time. But it's a landing page so they can find you. So is it just 47industries.com?
It's 47fab, the number 47fab.com.
Okay.
Like I said, you'll at least find an email address, telephone number, and I believe you can still get links to the old blog on there, the old Blogger, Blogspot, whatever it was.
Yeah,
But archive photos of some work from, I think the last time besides the address update that I put anything on there was like 2012. I think it's like, now it's like almost like history. So go back
Yeah, it's
there
a
and check
time
out-
capsule. Go look at a Chopper time capsule.
Right, go see what it was like in 2009 or whatever when I started. You know, but other than that, 47 Industries on Instagram. That's the Instagram account. You can reach me by either phone, email, or DMs through Instagram. You know, don't think I'm calling you back in 10 minutes because I probably won't. But you know, if you got a job, you know, reach out to me and you know we'll discuss it and see if we can make it happen. You know.
Fuck yeah, man. We'll do one of these again, man. We got to do it in person. I know I wanted to get out there last time, but by the time we ended up getting out of fucking Kickstart, it was late and I had to get back and I had a truck full of vapor honing equipment and shit. And I was like,
Right.
all right, yeah, I just got to get back. And I had my buddy with me that had to be back because he's a construction worker and has to be up early in the morning and whatnot. So
Right. So you're getting in. Are you going to start like doing that like commercially, or is that just for the shop stuff? You just wanted it around.
Well, I'm in the middle. I got a plumber coming this week to help me get everything piped in for the water to get it over here. And then once we get it up and running, we're going to play it by ear. Like, obviously, I got a bunch of shit at the shop that I want to do. But then, you know, I think it'll be a service that we offer. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to, like, get a little some time in on it and play with it and get some experience on it. And
really cool process. You know?
Yeah, and Ken that works here, you know Ken. He's from Brooklyn. He used to roll with the VCP guys all the time. But he's over here now. Yeah, Kenny. Yeah, Chief Yellowfoot. But he's gonna. I'm gonna like. He's gonna help me a lot with that stuff, and I'm gonna let him kind of take some reins with that part of the business. You know what I mean? And
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, when he moved up your way, right? I mean, he was living in New York for a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
They moved up here. His wife's parents live in Massachusetts, so they fled New York and the ever increasing costs and everything to be out there and are
right
living a quieter Cape Cod life now. You know what I mean? They're on the Cape.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
He's a solid dude. I love him, man. He's good.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll get up soon, dude. I know. I we'll talk offline and figure out if there's any shows we're both going to be at, and we definitely need to have a beer and talk some more.
Absolutely, man. Look forward to seeing you.
All right, man. It was a good one, dude. Thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a blast to just talk to you, but it's an even bigger honor to be on the podcast with you, man. It's cool. I'm stoked to be here.
You love podcasts, the stories, the laughs, the unexpected turns. But when this episode ends, the silence starts. Not anymore. Audiobooks.com turns that silence into your next great adventure. With over 450,000 titles, from bestsellers to hidden gems, your love for listening just found its new best friend. And because you already know the joy of audio, we're giving you 3 free audiobooks to start your journey. Imagine your favorite podcast, now with unlimited episodes. That's audiobooks.com. Keep the story going. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. Because for podcast lovers like you, the end of an episode is just the beginning. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.